Hello, everybody, and welcome back to some lovely Sunday afternoon WARNO action. As we return to the WARNO League, we return to Division 2, as we're gonna have some quarterfinals here to cover as well, and we're gonna start with the bottom of the bracket here. So that is not equality, that is just by chance, as we have two really high level players here with Suojeluskunta, last season Division 1 player, and Greyhound, one of the top level Wargamer Dragon players, returning to WARNO here. And it's gonna be interesting to see if that old skill can beat Suojeluskunta and his trickiness here, as we have a pretty interesting pick and ban in this one as well. Suojeluskunta returning to his old school divisions here. Rügener Gruppierung, 157th, and in, Division to Ryan here, versus some pretty meta division here on the side of Greyhound. 2nd Panzer Grenadier, 60th Panzer, and 6 Motorstrelki. So, what do you expect out of the Rügener Gruppierung here for Suojeluskunta?
I mean, if only I could express my opinions in the form of dance, but that is not possible. So imagine Greyhound doing like the most box standard, confident tango, just going from one zone and one engagement to another, always between the strong movements building up, just as expected. You know, the cheap combined arms of the West Germans, and with Suojeluskunta and Rügener. You should expect something a little bit strange, wacky, just going all over the place, still somehow managing to be controlled against all the odds.
You mean straight like up Australian breakdancers at Olympia?
Yeah, something like that, exactly. But not something you could ever really expect. The Rügener itself has a series of decent units. The Marine Pioneers, for instance, large 12-man squads. But even then, you're paying 70 points for them for some extra machine guns and shock trade and a flamethrower. Not exactly the most efficient unit. You get the KSKs, which are great special force recon on their own, but you don't really have anything to legitimately support those spec ops units. And your tank tab, which is very important in a slow division such as Rügener, or relatively slow division, it cannot actually carry you in those tank-to-tank engagements. So what I'm thinking is, most likely, Suojeluskunta is trying to gain early ground and then start spending those weird and expensive units, air bombers, helicopters, in trying to win engagements early on, and then try to bait the enemy into building in situations where the reservist division can actually outlast them, using stuff like the Conqueror's missiles, using stuff like your standard reservist infantry, which for the East Germans is quite powerful. And also, despite all the expected wackiness, Suojeluskunta is going to be doing a Bravo landing, using most of his troops in building up both the AT defenses and the infantry invasion in the Bravo. And whereas the KSK units up north in the crossroad highway area, not trying to get into Delta, so no double attack. On Greyhound side, interestingly, a unit we very rarely see with 2nd Panzer, which is the Heimat M48A2CG-A1, which has a little bit more armor than the Leopards, is cheaper, is reservist, and mostly works against infantry soft targets as fire support. So Greyhound taking that card, famously 2nd Panzer Grenadier is not the most lenient with slots, so that might have taken away another card of something like Leopard 1A1A1s, for instance.
First Me-8 immediately gets double hit by the F-16 here. Can the MiG-23 retaliate? Its long-range missile is not the greatest, and it seems like it won't get in range for its R-60M, so the F-16 gets away with murder there. MiG-23ML not quite able to catch up and get a second missile on target. And those Me-8s are really helpful for the opener if you get them through as Rügener with their rockets and their Malyutka missiles. So annoying loss there, and might allow Greyhound the sneaky little looks play here in the south. That is trying to rotate around the flank, trying to get onto some transports, whilst Suojeluskunta is getting the KSK is getting the Marine Pioneer in there as well, and they will win infantry fights against the Panzer Grenadiers on the other side, but the M48s, you obviously want to dodge until your T-72s and your T-55s have arrived. Ooh, SU-22 here. Oh, this could be big.
Oh no!
Oh! Amazing hit for Suojeluskunta. Rügener Gruppierung is cooking. Just
And
like...
suddenly, the break dancer jumps into the air, and the dance has changed.
Yeah. Suojeluskunta cooking like the ammunition in those M48s is right now. And that will completely give control over Bravo. Greyhound will have to play fully defensive in the south now. That was 400 points or so worth of units going up in flames. KSKs in the north, though, did go into the aggressive stance and didn't stay on the defense, and that is a big mistake by Suojeluskunta, and that might enable Greyhound to get just as much space as Suojeluskunta got in the south, in the north. So, yeah, one great maneuver being kind of ruined by a similarly bad maneuver in the north here by Suojeluskunta. That really needs reinforcements into Foxtrot now.
Yeah, at least Suojeluskunta ordered the Motorschützen reinforcements quickly, and the Greyhound's Leopards are not pushing into Foxtrot before the infantry can support them, and they're not willing to take that risk. So catastrophic consequences have been averted by Suojeluskunta. Also, the Lux has been spotted, and now an MI2 Ern is trying to catch it up. So far, T-72 is moving up. Suojeluskunta is looking for the weakness. So the law of WARNO dynamics means that any unit concentration, especially in the opener, always has an equal and opposite unit diffusion. So if you get a big blob and you get a bunch of kills, and then you spot 3 Leopard 1A5s with some infantry support, something is amiss. And what was amiss was proper frontline in Charlie, and pushing that cheap AA gun vehicle under the minimum range of that Milan and taking a single hit in the T-72, suddenly the middle position has to be recaptured by Greyhound. Excellent going here for Suojeluskunta. That's exactly what you want to do if you get an absolute blast of a kill like that early on.
Yeah, we get another CV here into the center, and that will get a +3 here for Suojeluskunta for now. Also Mega Führer on the way to capture 2 points here for Greyhound, so that all will go down to a +1. But SU-22 cluster number 2 is around, and there is no AA out here for Greyhound right now. There too will desperately try to dodge it. SU-22 not getting through, lost line of sight, and the first MiG-23 goes down, and the Tornado gets the cluster as well. Can the MiG-23 at least get the kill in reverse? Yes, it can, but killing the SU-22 there, pretty big. Me-14 PL around here with the classic Rügener gamble addiction helicopter. Yes, the first missile does miss, but the long range can dominate the long field, and the supply is already on the way. So both sides here losing some key units, but the kill on the SU-22 is really big, and that the level 2A3 did survive is equally massive for Greyhound here. If that would have gone down, the situation in the center here would have been really critical. But this way, bit of mechanized forces and a couple of recon infantry, and then maybe a pushback towards Charlie can happen. So the setup here for Suojeluskunta currently quite nice.
Yeah, this is a counterattack or an attack happening from Greyhound, maybe building up some, putting up infantry leader up north and sending a martyr here to act as some kind of a front line in sieging Foxtrot. Now, despite only having 2 relatively weak units in the crossroads, controlling the crossroads is a big tactical or strategic victory. You can spot a lot of stuff while you're in the forests at the crossroads, and also having the fast road, it means you can move in and danger the enemy from multiple directions. I wouldn't be surprised if Suojeluskunta started counter-pressuring that, but meanwhile, Suojeluskunta still going on strong, having not repaired the T-72. KSK have spotted the enemy vehicles. Mi-14PL goes and fires and misses with its big anti-ship missile. With everything's on the table here. The ZPU-2s, the SPW-152.
Oh, Gephardt gets hit by T-72, needs to smoke off, needs to get the hell out of Dodge. Mi-14 is on the ground, and yeah, everything here trying to get the flag, gets the Gephardt. Mi-14 gets reloaded. The Leopard 185s get some hits. Mi-14 does miss again. Leopard not quite in range to shoot at that unit yet. T-55 goes down. Leopard 2A3 rotating around. Focuses here, just trying to run down the Mi-14, but the Mi-8 has arrived behind that. This one having, as of late, the sick-in trait. And the Mi-14PL does miss there, but it's still alive. It misses all its missiles, but it's super annoying even with the stress damage alone. And Greyhound is a bit stuck here in the south, is pushing a bit forward, and Suojeluskunta with the classic Suojeluskunta wackiness tried to sneak in the CV in the north and kind of pays for that now with the Fallschirmjägers pushing on top of them and getting into shock range now, at which point they will likely dominate the fight. T-55A comes around, might save the CV here, can save itself with smoke maybe as well. But yeah, situation in the north is still okay for Greyhound. Situation in Alpha is tense, but now with M109 might get better as we have more Zwillinge coming around, F-16 coming out again as well. And yeah, both sides here with a lot of fighting force and the Rügener Gruppierung taking the space that it needs to take, because Rügener sucks at pushing in the late game. It needs to push early, and that's exactly what Suojeluskunta is doing here right now, as the Cluster Tornado tries to get around. This was played on the previous patch, so it's not dropping the bombs as fast as it could.
The Mi-14 was taken out by an artillery salvo. It was actually killed when it was already in the air, victim of the AoE damage. And but despite this, Leopards are still under fire, both the Maljutkas and the second Mi-14PL moving around here, landing the helicopter to use the 3,000 meter range like this. It's a little bit cheesy, but it's the only way to actually legitimately use the Mi-14. Maybe the most difficult unit in the game to use.
Yeah, KSK is here under fire. Mi-14 moves a bit forward again, whilst artillery of the M109 is actually opening up fire in the south, and Suojeluskunta left a really weak force around Bravo. Oh, that's the Leo 2.
Leopard 2!
Yeah,
Leopard 2 side shot, I think. Oh. There was a Leopard 2 side shot, and suddenly Greyhound's counterattack cannot overpower that T-72 anymore. Doesn't have the ability to fight off the Concourses, cannot tank reliably the Concourse shots. This is Suojeluskunta here just needs good engagements, needs good momentum, needs good micro. The Greyhound's division gets so much better units. The 155mm howitzer already is a threat to every ATGM as well as the landed helicopters. The cluster plane
with CV coming in here into Alpha, so we will see a +5, something that we barely ever see on this map, and that really sets a rough timer for Greyhound, as that will set it to a 5-minute timer or so. We have the counter push towards Foxtrot, but yeah, the combat arms in the late game should be better for Greyhound, but right now, the wacky combat arms of Rügener Gruppierung is seemingly making it work.
Yeah, Greyhound is doing a counterattack with the 1 Milan and 3 infantry squads going up into Foxtrot, and that is probably going to work out in a moment here. Ooh, Tornado taking down an enemy fighter, so slowly getting back into reliable air control. The problem is that Suojeluskunta has the casino machine, the Krug in here. The Krug is going to be firing very inaccurate but extremely powerful shots, and is going to be supported by all of these Strela 2s. The Strela 2s were largely brought out because of the transport, the ZPU-2 AA gun, but now that there are enough reliable infantry units like the Pioneer Carl Gustavs, the AA guns can't really overpower anything. They've served their purpose, but the Strela 2s still remain on the field.
smoke wackiness here in the rear line, but the Eyehawks start to take out the Lim 6, one of Suojeluskunta's favorite units here with that division, those little rocket planes, and everything in Foxtrot and in the northern point here has completely gotten shredded. No infantry units or tanks left there currently for Suojeluskunta, and that will allow a full swing once the Fallschirmjäger leader get in there towards only a +1 for Suojeluskunta. So it still doesn't look quite like Suojeluskunta is going to win this in a quick way, as that is usually not happening on Kryder anyways. But the push here into the deep zone kind of made it possible, but likely we will still have a long game here if Greyhound can get into Foxtrot. He's still shying away from pushing it, so Suojeluskunta might keep a +3 here, which is still a decent take. But CV now coming into Alpha as well. So yeah, this whole thing is slowing down. And currently, Suojeluskunta losing a good couple of the frontline units here to infantry pushes off just normal Panzer Grenadiers. Didn't have enough covering infantry forces left here in the southern fight. And a lot of Strela teams just got overrun by the Pioneer Carl Gustav. A couple of other units there in the forest as well. And they now threaten even the Mi-14 PL here. The Conquerors teams in the open. Leopards have to be a bit careful. One of them pretty low. Gets shut down. Second Leopard doesn't get hit yet, but the Mi-14 firing another missile. Another Leo goes down. Greyhound a bit overconfident there with that push out of smoke. Didn't have the supply with those forces. And that means the CV for Suojeluskunta is going to stick in there. And only the infantry fights going well here for Greyhound.
Yeah, and Greyhound's also being a little bit underconfident in pushing Foxtrot. Now reinforcements, heavy reinforcements, having already landed there. Greyhound's already got a reasonably sizable force up in the north, but the micro demand of pushing the enemy away from Alpha is giving Suojeluskunta more time to actually fortify this. Foxtrot is relatively defensible. There are not that many long ranges, so just having good infantry can be enough there. You need to invest a lot into taking those out. Krug hitting an F-16 there in a characteristically lucky shot, whereas Marine Pioneers are kind of absorbing all the firepower in this infantry counterattack, waiting for the T-55 Meridas and the rest of the reinforcements to actually move in.
Krug cluster bomber trying to kill off the supply, trying to kill off the Mi-14 on the ground. Krug not getting a hit on target this time around, but the Mi-14 does barely survive. Its supply is dead though, so it can't get a new missile until another supply unit has arrived, so is out of combat for now. We see Trillinger pushing the smoke units in the smoke, but that doesn't work anymore. They have a minimum range now, so the Reservistführer prevail once more. Greyhound, yeah, getting punished there for trying to push with that unit into really close combat. Rocket Harrier coming around, just trying to strafe the ground. Can that even do this in the smoke? It can't. I don't think it can, but the units died to the M109 artillery anyways, so finally Alpha will fall back. We will get to a only +1 for Suojeluskunta. 1,200 points is a nice lead on this map. Like, that's a pretty significant lead. And not easy to get back for Greyhound, but Suojeluskunta likely is not going to finish this with a 2,000 point victory.
Yeah, it's very difficult for Suojeluskunta to get back into Alpha now, considering that the combined arms are already up here. There's air support, and the element of surprise and momentum that allowed to push into Alpha originally has completely vanished. The next situation for any momentum here, I think, is Greyhound's imminent attack on to Foxtrot. The vehicles can move in and they can cut off the reinforcement routes, but Suojeluskunta is prepared for this and already has a bunch of defense in depth here, a little bit of redundancy so that Luxes or Leopards can't move in and completely surround this position. But the Motorschützen are taking bad engagements right now. Martyrs, all of them, Leopards in proper positions. Panzer Grenadiers moving to spot the enemy, firepower does the rest.
And Motorschützen here under fire as Leopards and Martyrs envelop Foxtrot. push going forward, and that is likely going to swing the point tick here, as the Fallschirmjäger Führer are moving in, and it's going to be tough for Suojeluskunta to stop that from happening. So, Malyutka P here about to be run over by Pioneer Carl Gustav as well. Has to be careful now to not lose complete cohesion here with the Rügener Gruppierung. Conquerors in the south at least will still push back Leopard 1A5s here for a bit, but the situation in the north is pretty critical. That U-23 is coming in, still on the old patch, so absolutely devastating if they are at a range where they can fire. But the Martyrs and Leopards really currently dominating that field north of Foxtrot and stopping all infantry reinforcements from reaching the point. Mutchison trying to cross over, but they immediately get fired upon. Not taking that much damage yet, since the line of sight there is a bit odd. Martyrs engaging onto the next one. Maybe can get into range with their RPG 7VL to actually do a bit of damage there. Get a shot, get a kill against the Leopard 1. Marine Pioneers are back in the zone, and yeah, CV is necessary here. We have double mine clearing tool rocket launchers coming along that will not clean up mines in this one, but just likely trying to clean up the CV squad on the other side. So the fight is real for Foxtrot, and currently only +1 for Greyhound. That is not going to be good enough. He needs more than a +1 to win this game, even at the current point.
Yeah, I still think Greyhound with enough investment could break through these Foxtrot defenses and maybe threaten Echo or Charlie. But at this point, I have a feeling just that a larger siege on Charlie is going to be the more reliable attack. There's already the massive concave in position, but just support units such as the Jaguars that can move in, and even air defenses with Leopards and Shrillings all around the place. Now, Greyhound is buying tanks, and the tanks are being ordered into the middle. So this is Suojeluskunta gotta watch out to not overinvest into this defense, to not just treat this as an existential threat. The existential threat in the middle.
The Panzer Grenadiers and Pioneers just realizing there's nothing there to defend against them. No set U-23s or anything like that to actually hold them off at that point. The mine clearing tools firing in the north, not really achieving all that much, and at the same time, just pure infantry charging over the open field, because all that Suojeluskunta had there was anti-tank, and just winning the town with the old school infantry charge. Well executed there from Greyhound. More Panzer Grenadiers and Pioneers pushing into the southern part of Charlie as well, and this is an existential threat, as you pointed out, for Suojeluskunta's chances of winning this game. Krug does miss against the Tornado, tries to get its second missile out. We have a MiG-23 coming around. Krug will fire its final missile, and will get the hit. So ein Feuerball, Junge! And it will get the Tornado and kill it off. F-16 not able to get the MiG-23. And we have Marine Pioneer finally getting control back over Foxtrot, most likely. But at the same time, Charlie has fallen, and Bravo is looking really, really weak as well. So these T-55As that rotate into the center better do something.
Yeah, the T-55s are the unit in Suojeluskunta's arsenal that was supposed to fight off all of that infantry. There is good infantry for the East Germans, but just spamming it all around the place where it can be slowly taken out by either enemy fire support, which is better than yours, or artillery is not necessarily the play. The T-55s, even the standard ones, have great AG damage with a 50 cal and decent armor that can keep them alive in those fights. But after the tank force was depleted by Greyhound slowly, there just wasn't those block missing from, and the block was the standard infantry coverage. And I think that might have been just overinvestment into air, underinvestment in the division for good high veterancy infantry squads, overinvestment in the defense of Foxtrot. Who knows what's going on? But second Panzer Grenadier here, moving into its natural late game ability of having great combined arms.
T-55s. So that was close for the Leo 2. That was a bit too many T-55s, a bit too close for comfort. Only gets hit once there, taking 4 damage. Gets a good hit against the T-55A as well, but not quite taking it out. That was a clutch fight there for Greyhound. You can't afford losing another Leo 2A3 here. The Leo 1A1s don't reliably win against the T-55s, so the Leo 2 is necessary to actually get some points here, but takes another good hit. Will be able to tank one more though, and doesn't miss against T-55A now. T-55A does miss in return as well, so Suojeluskunta should micro the other two here. Oh my goodness, Leo 2 really unfortunate there with a second miss in a row. The other two T-55s now coming along. Get a hit, but can't quite get the kill. So in the end, still a good trade here for Greyhound. 1 Leo 1A1 against 2 T-55s. But those T-55s at least might help out holding the south for a while longer. And for Suojeluskunta, it's all a game about time now. You want to keep the enemy from taking for as long as possible, and then you want to keep the tick as low as possible for as long as possible. So every single second here matters quite a lot, and the T-55As here now can at least keep a CV out of the southern zone, but they need a bit more reinforcements here. I like the Me-2 Yearn. There is no AA here right now, so that can be pretty helpful against infantry, can be pretty helpful against light vehicles. But in the center, the Reservist Führer is just trying to hold that rich position. The O105's coming around on the other side though, using the weakness of AA on the side of Suojeluskunta as well. And we have Harrier rockets coming in, we have F-16As coming in. Foxtrot position can't be expanded as the fields around it are dominated by Greyhound's better long-range fire support. And that means it's really all about the defense here at this point for our player in red.
Yeah, it's you slow the enemy down and you keep doing the same thing I tried earlier in the game, which is take good engagements, but at this point you're taking them defensively. The numbers of extra recon, the helicopters moving on the sidelines, trying to catch enemy infantry squads, take them out while they're not under AA cover. Fagot missiles replacing the Conquerors, probably running out of Conquerors at this point, but the Fagots are more or less decent on defense. It's also nice because the enemy can't necessarily immediately spot whether the missile coming at them is dangerous or not, so they have a psychological effect there, having only seen like Maljutka vehicles and Conquerors infantry teams so far. And yeah, it's just AA guns, Pioneer infantry leaders coming in, and supply. This is Greyhound time to dance, so to speak.
Yeah, so you have a CV coming into the south towards Bravo. Good CV investment there, I believe, by Suojeluskunta as well. So even if the CV comes in for Greyhound, it won't immediately go up to a +2. It will stick at a +1, and +1 won't be anywhere near enough. Even a +2 will start to become a problem here for Greyhound, and that is exactly what Suojeluskunta wants here. He wants to force Greyhound into having to push deep and having to potentially overextend himself a bit quicker than Greyhound wants to. As the flamethrower teams annihilate the Panzer Grenadiers here. Reservistführer trying to dodge the M109 artillery fire. Doing a decent job so far. Haven't taken any damage. Whilst ATGM teams, as he's pointed out, Fagots not amazing, but against Leo 1 still sufficient at forcing them back. Ooh, and the Crook Roulette did go onto the green again. And the Gamble missile does get another hit. Me-14PL here. The second roulette unit doing its best to try to hit the green field as well. Hasn't done all that well so far, but still always scary. You can't just ignore those 30-pen missiles because they can one-shot even your Leo 2A3.
Yeah, so far infantry attack of Greyhound is going to get getting targeted by the mine clearing vehicle. Mine clearing vehicle actually canceling because the Marine Pioneers are so powerful they can win this on their own. Greyhound is starts moving around some tanks, but none of them are trying to participate in this attack. This is it's not going well. 12-man squads fighting against an enemy on long range, supported by
Sultan does survive there. Important for Greyhound. Keeps the +1 alive, keeps the 40 points per minute tick alive, and allows him to maybe get a +2 a bit quicker when he gets to the SPW. Reservistenführer in the center, now getting attacked by a Marder. And there's no Mi-14PL right now to really assist him there. There is a Fagot missile, but the Reservistenführer in trouble. Goes down. That will be the +2 for Greyhound. And that
Yeah,
gives
with
him...
air support and tanks finally participating, one of the Marine Pioneers gets pushed back, but there's just so much more infantry in Bravo for Suojeluskunta.
Carrier rocket coming around. Krug desperately trying to get the reload here in time, but still working on it. The Harrier rocket might just strafe it down. Going for the ZSU. Krug still reloading. 1 more percent. 1 more percent. There we go. It's at 100. Immediately firing, and it gets a hit against the Harrier. SU-22 cluster coming around again as well. The CV kind of needed now for Charlie. For Suojeluskunta. Suojeluskunta maybe could do a bit of a gamble towards Gulf at a later point as well. The defensives, they're not amazing. But obviously the biggest victory right now would be finishing the Sultan off in the south. He has the stronger forces right now in Bravo, but he still hasn't quite gotten a shot onto the Sultan yet. Mine clearing tool is aiming again and waiting for the reload. Stunned down right now. And gets stopped from aiming again. By that, the aim time is only 10 seconds, so it will get the shot out here in a second. Sultan pushed back by the ZBU-2s as well, so Suojeluskunta will reduce it to a +1 again. Mine clearing tool not gonna hit anything here, but yeah, this push towards the Sultan, if the Sultan can get killed, that would be really helpful, forcing another CV out here from Greyhound. Greyhound has the Sultan in the middle still, but you kind of don't want to risk losing the center to a new CV, which obviously is on the way again, trying to move to that sneaky spot. Leo 185 getting a side shot there. ZBUs lighting up some Jäger Aufklärers here in the south, devastating those guys. And the Sultan has been retreated, only +1 right now. Suojeluskunta currently on a good path.
Yeah, the 12 minutes left is not enough for Greyhound to do this without actual, great victories. With second artillery piece and 2 more Panzermörsers, there's going to be way more ordnance coming down against Suojeluskunta's troops in Bravo. So Bravo is... as there is a large buildup of mechanized force happening in the crossroads, so probably going to be a kind of a twin attack at the same time, hoping that at least one of them is going to one of them is going to be controlled suboptimally. Greyhound's attacks have been having limited forces of infantry go out there and just get absolutely ruined by not limited forces of infantry, let's say, but like the ZPU-2s, they are a nice trick and they are very cool when they function, but you can lose all of them just like that, and they're 35 points. I would probably say I haven't been looking at the trades too badly, but even with Greyhound's reinforcements, it's pretty clear that on the board there is still a lot of momentum, still a lot of infantry coming out now with the M113 Panzergrens and Fallschirmjägers even being ordered. Another Harrier rocket to destroy
two
one or two
cluster
of the infantry squad.
SU-22s coming in, but they don't hit the right spot. Again, Krug getting a hit on return again, but the SU-22s here both failing to achieve a kill. F-16 fails to hit them back, but the SU-22s will only arrive right at the end of the game again. Won't be a factor for the upcoming minutes because of the long repair time that they have gotten there both. Meanwhile, T-55As trying to hold the Fallschirmjägers at bay in the northern part. M48's not great for the 1v1, but there are 3 of them, 2 Martyrs and a Leo 181, so with those numbers, it should be doable. First M48 goes down, T-55A gets hit as well. First of those being hit here as well. Modschützen trying to get into RPG range. Will get an RPG 7VL here into the side of a Leo, getting an immediate kill. So far, this push of Greyhound, not amazing. Losing the M48 as well. 2 T-55 still alive. Artillery not hitting. Martyr in danger as well. Martyr goes down as well. This push of Greyhound is failing. He has a +2 with the Sultan pushing back into the south. Might achieve a +3 here relatively soon as well, but he also needs that +3 relatively soon. +2 at this point, not good enough anymore.
Yeah, and the crew got a kill against a tornado cluster without it even dropping its bombs. The artillery is doing slow and steady damage, but even now with the +2, it's not going well. There are not a lot of reinforcements coming in for Suojeluskunta. Probably a lot of the Rugener deck has already been depleted, but there's still a bunch of assets on board here. Even though an MI2 is getting bursted down, the rest of the tanks are still being held in reserve. The tanks are now driving into Bravo, having finally figured that they beat all the AT launcher using infantry, and with these numbers, there's going to have to be a counterattack from Suojeluskunta. The tanks are now moving in here, but I doubt there's a lot of infantry. Yeah, the last T-72s are even getting bought, but these have to be defensive. There is no counterattack left. And yeah, with the SPW-60 leader driving into and getting taken out by Greyhound's infantry, driving in up into the middle. So what is this? 8 minutes, 3 times...
120 points.
3 times 4, yeah, 120, yeah.
It's gonna be really, really close here with a +3. As Motschützen and BTR will stop the Leo 1A1, so only the Fallschirmjäger Führer around in the Foxtrot point. That is short +4 that those maybe could get with a bit of support could be a deciding factor here, whilst the T-55's doing a good job, and there's not that many tanks here left for Greyhound most likely either, as a lot of the M48s, a lot of the Leo 1A5s and the Leo 2s have gotten killed off over time here now. There is still one more Leo 2A3 trying to rotate around. T-72 doesn't spot it, but it misses the shot because it is pretty stressed out. And there might be just enough pushing power in these T-72s and the T-55s to get back into the zone here and like just crash through the Sultan and get it back to a +1 here. Suojeluskunta will need to act relatively soon because the BO-105 is going to be annoying, and a couple of more infantry here in the south might be annoying as well. But for now, Greyhound investing into the north as well. Leo 2A3 leader desperately trying to get in there. So this is looking like Suojeluskunta's counter push could work.
Yeah, and Suojeluskunta's Motorschützen in Foxtrot just barely holding the line and scaring away that Fallschirmjäger from gaining an extra point. But yeah, as the minutes go by, what is it? 700 points for... No, it's still Greyhound's still gonna win this, I think.
Yeah, Suojeluskunta needs to get back into the southern zone. That is possible. He is eating a bit too many Milan 2s here right now, though. T-72 goes down. Infantry with the SPW-70 is finally arriving. Needs to lead the charge there. T-55s and T-72s engaging as well. ZU-23 desperately trying to get closer to the BO-105. As that is devastating the light vehicles here as well. A couple of them still alive. Milan 2 on the hill, together with another Marder, sending in new waves of ATGMs. ZU-23 finally in range of the first BO-105. Motschützen in range of the Pioneers, but great artillery pre-fire here, hitting one of the Motschützen and completely wiping it out, stunning down the other two heavily. Pioneer Aufklärungstaucher trying to get in there. We have an SU-22 cluster here, trying to come around for the Leo 2A3. That would be a nice kill, though it actually might just go down beforehand already. Oh no, the SU-22 gets shot down by the Eyehawks. Oh, this is so close. The T-55 and T-72 get the kill onto the Leo 2. Fagot still with some potentials for side shots here. Pioneer Sprengtaucher moving forward. The SPW has to find a good time to get in there. Pioneer Sprengtaucher towards the middle might clear way for CV there as well. But the question is there even a CV left outside of this SPW-60 for Suojeluskunta? And that one really needs to get the +2 here, just back for 2-3 minutes. And then it would be in winning territory again for Suojeluskunta. But currently, 120 points per minute are good enough for our player in blue. Greyhound now with good artillery fire here coming along. Panzer Grenadiers pushing forward. Pioneer Aufklärungstaucher. They have a satchel charge, but only one MG. ZU-23 and Fagot's engaging the Leo 2A3 leader, pushing that back a bit as well. The ZPUs of the Iglas Strela teams have arrived once more. Supply Ural here, trying to help out, winning these fights against the couple remaining Panzer Grenadiers. Focus fire on the Panzer Grenadiers would be helpful, then the T-72 could clear out, and the SPW is on the way. No BO-105 in the air to stop that right now, so it will get into the zone. And the question is, do we have in the north? We have a couple more Mochitsen arriving there. For Suojeluskunta. The Vulture Mega Führer got disengaged. Leo 283 leader is there with a Panzer Grenadier, but it's not around. And there we go. SPW makes it into the southern zone. Might just overrun some Milan 2s here as well. The Sultan has to be really careful here as well, as the ZPUs just keep on running through. Fagot ATGMs hitting the Martyrs, but not quite on target. Oh, and the SPW-60 has to be careful there. Artillery coming in. That would be a massive kill right now. Mochitsen charging in. +2, not good enough for Greyhound right now. Greyhound needs the +3.
Yeah, and artillery just slightly whiffing away, not doing any practical damage here. Now finally mortar shots stunning the SPW-60. There is and Greyhound is now moving forces and pushing against the single T-55 and its infantry support. But
the Leo 283 leader here went down. Yeah, the Leo 283 leader in the north went down. Only the Vulture Mega Führer remaining. And the Mochitsen with their good RPGs doing it once more. And the Leo 283 leader in the south, pretty stunned down as well. SPW is there driving around. Might find the Sultan here in a second. Will find the Sultan here in a second. And Jäger Aufklärer is desperately trying to get in range for some fire support, but it's not looking good for our player in blue right now. Seems like Suojeluskunta, with his dark Rügner magic, might do it once again.
Yeah, it is just few moments, of course, we in the God view, we could see the balances of power and the differences and the potential engagements. But again and again, Suojeluskunta just knows where the weak spot is. And if it doesn't know, it's going to find out. And the strategies such as using these armored transport vehicles as basically like suicidal charging forces, the ZPUs and the SPWs, generally that is not really that powerful of a strategy in most situations. And Suojeluskunta seems to be using it so well. Every time they go out, they do get those results. And finally, Fallschirmjäger is taking Foxtrot as Bravo was counter-taken with the Leopard, with just some smokes from the Panzermersers. I believe the Leopard 2 can get into Bravo. Whether it's going to affect the points at this point, doubtful.
Yeah, the magical sacrifices at Kap Arkona working out here for the Rügener. And they get to push through the +3 in the north. Well, the kill of the CV there is really annoying. We have a new CV into the center, supported by a lot of Pioneer Aufklärers and Mochitsen, so the SPW should hold the +2 here, and we only have 1 minute, and that means only 80 points, and it's gonna be within a couple, maybe 100 points, maybe even a bit less than that difference here between the two players, but Greyhound just can't get back in here in the south. The Leo 283 leader goes down, and the push back in the north coming in a bit too late. The Leo 283 there going down a bit too, stopping the push for just really a minute here. CV in the middle goes down as well, so it will even go back to a +3. And yeah, it will only be a couple dozen points here at difference, but in the end, Suojeluskunta has done it once more in an insane grind of a game.
By the skin of his teeth, just the way he likes it.
Bellinger here, holding the line against the Fagots. We have a good couple of Martyrs here, moving around. Marita coming around in the northern part. Will engage the Martyr 183. Will get a good hit, but there we go. GG. And time has run out for Greyhound. It's a draw up here, but this is meaning that we get Greyhound did lose this because we count the exact points in the end in the playoff phase. So Suojeluskunta winning game number 1.
Yeah, hilarious that Rügener was taken as a counter pick, and it's just it really is a ride. Like Suojeluskunta is the guy who delivers. It is so wonderful to see the maximum potential being squeezed from the stone that is divisions like Rugener or potentially Division du Rhine, which is what we're going to be seeing next.
Yeah, I'm really
But-
excited for the Rhine matchup next. And yeah, Greyhound here showing a really standard opener. And then the M48s there were an interesting addition. I believe they were a good idea. And they actually weren't the reason why this failed. But that couple of deaths in the south at the beginning, the infantry fights there taken were just not quite right. And then the situation, obviously, with the SU-22 right at the beginning, allowed Suojeluskunta to get that point lead. Like, that SU-22 was absolute money. We have a look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kills. 2 of them transport, but yeah, 2 tanks, 2 infantry units getting killed. I believe 2 more units being damaged by that cluster bombing run. Like, this is exactly what you want when you buy an SU-22 at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, and it's we can also, like, we from the viewers and casters perspective may look at Greyhound's attacks and think that, oh, should have just gone a little bit further, should have just attacked a little bit more. But the problem is that when you are under pressure, when the enemy is just blindly moving in T-72s that are following like fast AA gun trucks, that's an immediate problem. That's like a now issue. That's not a few minutes issue. And sensing and finding that. Finding those moments of weakness, even though it meant sacrificing units like constantly, successfully kept Greyhound on the back foot. And even if the Leopards ended up trading really well, and the Mi-14 PL defenses were too anti-tank focused to actually fight off the infantry assaults, the negative KDR of Suojeluskunta, I believe, directly led to this victory.
Yeah, and the crooks did their work over time. The Mi-14 killing a Leo 283 and getting a couple of other Leo kills as well, and completely forcing the enemy back time and again did their job as well. So in the end, job really well done with the Rugener, and I'm gonna be really excited to see what Suojeluskunta can deliver with Rhine in the next match. So quick break, guys, and then we're gonna be back with game number 2. So here we return, Suojeluskunta versus Greyhound, game number 2. And as we already talked about, we have Division du Rhine here on the right side. Couple of French reservists with Bundeswehr support versus, on the left side, the Belgians' best division, the 16th Panzer Division. A similar division in mechanized forces to 2nd Panzer Grenadier, just about the Leo 2s, but with good big forward deployment and better forward deployment even than that division. So this is going to be interesting as we play on Chandra, a map that is pretty wide, but also zone-wise is pretty defensive at the same time. So you have to invest quite a bit into a point to actually get into the point, meaning that you then might be vulnerable on another side of the map. Really enjoying this map so far. We have a lot of wild and pretty different games on this, usually going quite long. And I'm excited to see what Suojeluskunta has in store for us strategy-wise with the wacky French Reserve Division.
Yeah, so Division du Rhine, Protoss, do you have any opinions on this? Because my opinions are relegated to the one game I played against it, where I just completely ran over it because it didn't seem to have a functional, solid fighting line. It's an reservist engineer division reinforced by all sorts of old equipment, including the funnily quite powerful SS-11 first generation ATGMs from the French AMX-13s. And there are decent anti-air. There are iHawks. There are your good and cheap anti-air guns. There are light vehicles. There are light infantry. There are recon vehicles, and there are probably enough infantry to fight for the control of these zones. But what it doesn't seem to have is a proper way to put all of these units together into something efficient. Even the divisions that are absolutely worst at that, such as Rugener, have been the jewels, the gems have been found in the middle of the rough, including the Strela 2 transports, the ZPU-2s that we saw in the last game, as well as buying the limited T-72 tank tab early on to support the special forces, that kind of stuff. But Division Orion really just doesn't have something on the level of the KSK or the T-72.
I believe it does really go down against any division with a tank with 16 frontal armor or more. But in this matchup, that's not the case. You have layer 1s on the other side, and you have a division on the other side that doesn't have an IFV with ATGMs, meaning that your AMX-13s actually have a really great range to fire at, which is 2,625 meters. This is where you want to start every single engagement here. And then once the enemy pushes closer, your rapid-fire guns actually still might do some damage there, because they actually can penetrate for once. It's 10 pen AP rounds with kinetic penetrator, so against most tanks, they don't even get to shoot at them. In this matchup, against the 8 frontal armor Belgian Leopard 1 BEs, they actually deal 2 damage per hit, and that, with their 12 rate of fire, actually adds up quite a bit. But the important part, as you pointed out, is a HGM on a 55-point vehicle, and that's exactly what we see here from Suojeluskunta. You don't have to buy infantry with it. It's basically a bit of an IFV, but you don't have to buy infantry with it, so you can buy double the number. And that's what we see here from Suojeluskunta, a lot of those light vehicles. And then you have some decent infantry, like the Jaegers and co. Like the French and German infantry in that deck is pretty sizable. Issue at that part is the Belgian infantry is pretty good as well. It's not quite as sizable in the individual squads, but the infantry that you get as the Belgians is pretty good too. And I feel like as the Rhine, you want to be the division that gets the better starting deployment, and that 16th Belgian takes away from you because they have the forward deployment and they can kind of choose where the front line runs. And this might be an issue for our red player here, for Suojeluskunta as Wacky Force.
Yeah, I'm thinking like the rule, the counter pick rule that I've been developing, which is that the best counter pick is something that is just 1 degree heavier in all accounts than your opponent. That the Leopard 1s, especially the Leopard 1 BEs and 105s, they have maximum range tank guns and they have pretty good accuracy and fire control. Even if they can be penetrated by the enemy, they will likely be getting the first shots. They can be microed against those heavy ATGMs, and by the time Greyhound actually positions the troops and the tanks to expect those ATGMs, the 55-point tank is going to become more of a stationary like fire control unit instead of actual like a wacky unit it's supposed to be that tries to get too close. Fusiliers are unloading outside of Suojeluskunta's little village here with an F-16 strafing the infantry, but the AML-90 opening fire on larger ranges, and Fusilier is going to be holding this for the moment, waiting for their reinforcements. I really have a feeling that 16th can probably play this relatively passively, knowing that there aren't that many things that Division to Rhine can actually scale into. There is no big, mean, scary late game unit, so just Fusiliers and rest of the infantry slowly maneuvering around the enemy, trying to make moments for the Leopards to peek in and get kills. That's what I think is going to be attempted here, at least.
Yeah, the Rhine has a decent air tap. The Rhine has okay artillery. It doesn't have the great artillery being reserved for the 6th Leger. No rapid fire towed howitzers. I wish they would have those, but those high-tech weapons not given to the reservist division. And the MX-13s here now lighting up the Fusilier. Their HE rounds not having the highest damage, but with the 12 rounds per minute, they engage it so often that they still get a good amount of damage here. Mirage 5 gets a bombing run through. Not the most impactful one, because the Fusiliers would have died most likely anyway. But for now, both sides getting their points. The aggressive move from Greyhound in the north with the Fusiliers not gaining him any points, but gaining him in a bit of ground. Just has to be careful. The defensive of Delta here actually really weak. Only 1 Milan one and a Milan transport on the side here. That's the only defense there is. And the MX-13s have smoke, so they can just like create a full smoke wall over the field and do it like that basically. So that move of the MX-13s should work out. Gazelle Cannon here can be nice and annoying as well. Like, this is how you need to play this division. Be nice, be annoying with your spam. Good spacing here between the MX-13s so that the cluster bomber can't ruin your whole day. Only getting a single kill and might die for it. Yeah, that's a great trade there for Suojeluskunta. That's the kind of interactions you want to force out of the enemy. And we have the HS 30mm here coming around. That thing for 30 points, actually a pretty good AA piece. And the infantry push towards the Milans here, Greyhound, maybe overextending a bit here. Maybe trying to get more crowns than necessary in the earlier part and losing too many valuable units, and then Ryan can just get into the cracks and be annoying for a long time.
Yeah, the hard counter here has been identified to be the JPK-90, which is the Jagdpanzer. It's superior in double the armor, superior gun, superior range, and almost the same rate of fire than the French light tanks. The French light tanks they were let through by the Leopard, basically. The Leopard was not holding the line. Now the Leopard is moving in and trying to catch those shots, trying to catch that Jägerführer, and if the Jägerführer gets taken, that's a big victory for Greyhound here, probably meaning that this overextension can be dealt with. Yes, Leopard 1 BE finally being worth its price. A second Leopard 1A5 getting tagged by an ATGM on long range, getting stunned and getting taken out.
Yeah, Gazelle Cannons here coming in as well. No AA around for Greyhound here. 2 Gazelle Cannons clearing out the Scimitar in the north after the first Gazelle Cannon went down there. That's pretty nice for the Belgians. Their vehicles have pretty good autocannons, so Gazelle Cannons have to be careful there at interacting with the IFVs and the recon vehicles. But F-16s here don't want to run into Gazelle Cannons when there are 2 Ihawks around. Like, this is not a worthwhile interaction, so some Mistrals or Gepards would be helpful, and the MX-13s here getting some nice value from the side. Like, you can lose a lot of them without falling behind in cost efficiency. It just eventually will run out of units. Like, the cards have a lot of availability, but at some point, because they are so cheap, you still run out within the first 20 minutes, and that's maybe a bit of an issue here for Durine, but that's a similar kind of issue for the Belgians. Their availability is actually not endless either.
Yeah, actually the JPK is having better optics than the AMX-13s. Interestingly, though, a little bit of a bonus for a tank killing Greyhound, filling their lines with an ATGM helicopter and a recon helicopter, and with a bunch of these reinforcements now unobstructed to move into Delta. Are probably going to be doing that. Second Jägerführer is trying to land into those buildings, probably on position Charlie, but the tank fighting line with those JPKs and Milans flanking in from the north means I think there is Suojeluskunta is under risk on a heavy counterattack. Reinforcements for Suojeluskunta are still AMX-13s, and they still haven't moved through the limited defenses Greyhound has set up here.
Yeah, AMX-13s here, moving around, engaging against the Mod 56 in the south here, getting a kill. And the Jäger Aufklärer is now moving south to try to clear out the forest, try to maybe enable a line towards Bravo. But we get the envelopment now of Greyhound around all of this, and yeah, if Delta would have fallen, if we would have a +4 right now for Suojeluskunta, that would be a great pick. +2 is still a pretty slow one, and will gain you an advantage that then means that the enemy has to push you back, as the point take here is starting to put Suojeluskunta ahead here now in a second, but you kinda still want to get at least one more point and one more tick, and at the same time, the Scimitar of Greyhound has infiltrated the south, so if there's ever a swing towards Greyhound attacking, and Greyhound can put some pressure towards Foxtrot and Echo, then he might be able to force some kills onto the rear line there at the same time.
Yeah, these reinforcements for Greyhound are now building a wider front line, so I think Greyhound is probably pretty secure in the number of units already set up here. The reinforcement that the guard leopard has now moved into an even more defensive location after losing all of its screening units, and but there are infantry that can move back and start holding that forest. So Greyhound playing this, letting the enemy move through for a moment and not risking any units. The Eyehawks are a huge issue, and there are no funds have been spent so far in trying to develop a counter, taking out artillery, which would work pretty well against the Eyehawks. Even though, but Suojeluskunta is one of those people who aggressively moves them around. It's still great to force them under pressure like that.
Yeah, more Gazelle Cannons here, trying to come around, trying to get some attack against the defensive VADS though, and that likely not gonna work out. There we go. The is coming out, and with that, the helicopter is disappearing. The second Gazelle Cannon going down. Third one trying to take the fight, but not really dealing that much damage. Forces the VADS to move, but the 50 cal from the other units already getting on target there. Ooh, HE bomber wasting itself on the VADS with the bombs. Strafing would have been enough. Could have hit the Jagdpanzers afterwards. Bit of a waste here by Suojeluskunta, and he can't really afford that right now. He is getting some space towards Delta, but the combined arms of Greyhound is getting online, and it will just outtrade in frontal fights and just overwhelm the enemy side if executed correctly by a lot. So the Jagdpanzers here slowly falling back in front of the Gazelle Cannons, but those will run out soon here as well. Gepard didn't push forward. That could have been helpful to deal with the Gazelle Cannons, but at the same time, Greyhound now slowly setting up a southern push with a couple of recon infantry there, as the north at least is contained. And yeah, the +2 is annoying, but as long as it stays a +2, I wouldn't be super worried as Greyhound in the long run.
Yeah, importantly, maybe feeding into Greyhound's more defensive stance. Greyhound has great vision here. Greyhound knows what's happening, is spotting all of these reinforcements and tanks, keeping tabs on them, whereas Suojeluskunta has barely any vision of any enemy units. Actually, literally has none right now outside of the AMX-13. And now spotting the Leopard 1B reinforcements and which engage the AMX-30s on long ranges. AMX-30s miss with their first generation ATGMs. Mirage 5 gets gets a bombs off, or did it? I'm not sure. With large Milan 1 front lines helping against these AMX-13s if they want to push any further. Jägerführer moving into Delta, basically forcing Greyhound to start doing an attack down south here. Jägerführer is alone, and it is barely supported by fire support, so the JPKs and Mech Fusiliers should be more than enough to deal with this. And this is in turn going to force Suojeluskunta to start moving more vehicles and infantry into Delta. And on defense, infantry attacks or attacking with infantry is already risky business, but just having a single 50 cal or a single Leopard 1 or single VADS doing damage here immediately hard counters infantry attack. So it's up to these AMX-13s here, I think. They are attacking in a really bad front line against the Milan ones. So here we can see the famed, the legendary Belgian technological supremacy in tank warfare.
Yeah, the AMX-13s and M48s here not having the greatest of times there. Two more M48s going down. The Jägerführer with the smoke did get the full-on capture and could retreat now with the last smoke, but wants to contest for now. Artillery trying to get the VADS. We got a couple of kills against Leo 1s and the Jagdpanzers south of Charlie, so that is helpful. That might allow a bit of a flank in towards the center, but the town still in Greyhound's hand, and Greyhound now really setting up the push here into the southern zone. And once more, Suojeluskunta, maybe not with enough anti-infantry, just like in the last game, has a decent amount of anti-tank there with a Fuchs Milan, a Milan 2 in the building, and an AML-90. But Mech Fusiliers only facing a single Jäger Aufklärer, and once reinforcements will be brought up, the Scimitar of Greyhound will have a great day. So this Foxtrot push here has a lot of potential for our player in blue. For now, the +4 is ticking, and it starts to become a really nice lead here for Suojeluskunta. 600 points is nice, and we see a couple of Jagdpanzers and Leos once more overextending here into line of fire. They have smoke, but that comes out a bit too late as they got stunned down. Jagdpanzer goes down. Leo 1 is heavily damaged. So situation here still okay for Suojeluskunta, but both sides start to grind each other down here in the north, and the southern push is looking pretty promising for Greyhound.
Ooh, Greyhound had a fighter waiting in, and even though it's a Belgian F-16, so it doesn't have great weaponry, it still managed to disrupt and take out an Alpha Jet, second Alpha Jet getting taken out by a wingman, and a third one getting tagged by the third fighter here. And meanwhile, Greyhound's infantry has now moved and has suffered a little bit of a backset in the infantry incursion into Foxtrot, but now with artillery support taking down the Milan 2, the vehicles can move in and secure the zone from those Jaeger Aufklärers. And meanwhile, Greyhound's infantry, the Pioneers RL-83, best AT weapon currently out there in the front, taking out an M47 Dozer and under fire by AA guns. But Suojeluskunta just ordering Jaeger Carl Gustavs and infantry. This is now transitioning into an infantry attack, probably because the numbers of AMX-13s are not as numerous anymore, and also AMX-13s are kind of outclassed right now with the numbers of Milans and JPKs.
Yeah, the Jägerführers are getting close to the zone again. Gazelle Canon's still doing a decent job there. The Leo 1 is around, but these new Jägerführers have 3 new smoke grenades, so that works out. Meanwhile, the 8 anti-tank capabilities on the south have been taken out by artillery, and the Jäger Aufklärer they're about to go down. We have the Scimitar still in the rear line, so CV, Sultan CV here on the way into Foxtrot should be good enough to get the capture. And Echo, the CV unit in Echo, has been killed off already as well, so both southern points here about to fall for Suojeluskunta, meaning that Suojeluskunta really needs to hold on to Charlie and Delta for the upcoming next 10-15 minutes as well, and that, especially at Delta, is not going to be easy. Greyhound has lost a lot of units in the north as well. All the infantry there basically has gone down, and a good couple of Leos and Jagdpanzers have been bled out too, but the push here in the south is really dangerous, and he has the deep penetrating units here with the Scimitar. Ooh, Scimitar might be revealing itself at the wrong moment here. M48s are around, so this actually likely is going to go down quite quickly. Greyhound not microing it right now, but the recon unit leaves it behind, so Scimitar might not be found just yet. Doesn't get a kill in the first action there, but I don't believe either side has spotted it, or I am wrong with that, as Alouette recon helicopters are moving forward. No, they're moving towards the front line. They're not actually trying to find the rear line Scimitar, as we have F-16s flying way too deep against the Eyehawk situation here, but staying alive. And there comes the cluster, going for a weird spot as well. That's not the Eyehawk. And the 30mm might just finish it off here. Doesn't get any rounds on target. Mirage does stay alive. The second Eyehawk got reloaded and didn't quite get the missile out. So, situation here tense on both sides, as the M48 counter push for Suojeluskunta will try to get back control over Foxtrot. And it seems like it... Oh, the Scimitar survives! Oh no! A full-on bomb drop, and it survives a 1 hit point. Really lucky for Greyhound.
The light bombs, the 400, the 500-pound bombs, the 250. Those are just not great at doing stuff. You want to have 500-kilogram bombs, and otherwise, even like lightly armored vehicles can survive you with decent luck. Those bombers are great against masses of infantry, and there just aren't masses of infantry fielded by the Belgians right now. Yeah, the Suojeluskunta building a more standard front line, basically defending from infantry counterattacks by occasional reservists and AA guns, and then having a concentration of light vehicles as a front line. This functions pretty decently, but it is so predictable. Leopard 1 A5s and the aircraft and all of these ATGMs can be positioned to counter counter them on the long term. Right now, Leopard 1A5 is fighting a long range against a bunch of obsolete patterns and doing great damage, and the patterns are not even firing back. I'm not sure if they actually can see it. Yeah, they can see it. That they're just now finally controlled.
And they were just not quite on range. So Layer 1A5 BE here, likely gonna pick up a second one. Does miss twice. That's pretty unfortunate with 70% base accuracy. But ATGM's now coming around as well, and the last pattern not gonna have a great day there. The Layer 1A5 can just kite it off. Smoke coming out of Suojeluskunta there. But we have Greyhound now really being still fearful of Echo, not realizing that that point is completely empty and that Greyhound could stop the tick right now in this moment. So giving away 3 points, and that is always dangerous on this map. The tick is not fast in most scenarios, so giving the enemy a +2 into the halfway point after already giving up a +4 for a while here, meaning that you need to do something similar to them later on. That is quite tough. The scimitar here in the real line gets revealed by the Milans, takes one out, but likely gonna die. So yeah, in the end, still got itself nearly paid off there. But Suojeluskunta finally getting reinforcements towards Echo, as Greyhound is slowly moving in there, and yeah, missed opportunity there, not taking control of this. But the northern situation is looking pretty fine for Suojeluskunta. Has taken complete control of that with mass infantry and just grinding down the enemy vehicles. The issue is how many more vehicles are left in Suojeluskunta's deck. I believe the M48 and AMX-13 numbers should run low around this time.
There are probably some M47 dozers left, but those are the bottom of the barrel tactically. The artillery, the F3 Automoteur, we're seeing already has been doing some pretty serious damage, especially slowly targeting and going through Milan once as efficient usage of them. And second artillery piece being ordered by Greyhound. Now Greyhound is putting all of those points in apparently trying to catch out the Jägerführer, which is wounded and was spotted to be resupplying. The light bombs, once again, light bombs not delivering, not destroying that infantry frontline. AIFVBs with the Bushmaster cannons opening fire and supporting the Greyhound's infantry attack. These are now shock troops in here, so upvetted, which is always important to have a few cards, at least one card for this kind of duty. Milan support vehicles with 50 cals, very valuable. Running out of missiles, a lot of these units, but still. Suojeluskunta not maneuvering too aggressively with the AMX-13s. Meanwhile, Greyhound moving in finally into Echo, but unfortunately meeting some Sapeur Flamme supported by 50 cal transport engineering thingies.
Yeah, the MX-13s here. Transport vehicles desperately trying to help out. At the same time, the counter push of Greyhound in the north with Mech Fusiliers working out, cleared out a lot of infantry. The IFVs there got a good time. The ATGMs not coming out around the time, and the MX-13s now taking bad fights because they don't have the numbers anymore. Whenever they had the numbers, they can trade up quite nicely. Like, 2 of them will go down, but the rest will put up so much fire that they kill the enemy units and usually trade up in points. But by now, they have run out, and 2 of them just don't do the similar thing. Don't trade up against the Leo 1 because they both die before they actually can kill it. Because there's just not quite enough lead flying into the front of the Leo 1, and that really leaves Delta with some issues, meaning that ATGMs have to come around the numbers now to try to clean it up, and that also means that Echo has become absolutely vital, because Delta will likely fall soon, but if you can get Echo back and then buy some time here, situation might still be under control. Need to get some ATGMs towards Charlie here as well, though, and get a defensive line around that forest line, and that hasn't happened just yet. Counter-batterying the M109 of the enemy here with the old F3 Automoteur artillery piece, but I'm not quite sure if that's actually worthwhile. I feel like hitting frontline units might be more important, and CV hasn't quite entered Echo yet. Instead, it goes into Foxtrot with some smoke right now. Interesting choice. double HE bomber here coming around. The AA defenses of Greyhound have been abysmal so far, and he lost a good couple of X-16s in the fights. The Gepard positioning here not strong enough to ever stop these HE bombers, and the one in the south gets the CV there, meaning that the M21 could get control over that as well if it rotates around. Infantry necessary for Suojeluskunta once more though, but it is on the way.
Yeah, the Suojeluskunta sending in 0 vet sappers got put down a low cohesion and didn't manage to fight off that fight. Well controlled, and the M48s participating they could have, but there was too much stuff to control for Suojeluskunta.
Oh, yeah, Suojeluskunta over there. Yeah, going way too deep there with the recent reinforcements. That Milan 2 would have been so important as defense for Hotel right now. And there is no defense for Hotel right now. There is a MX-13 on the way. The Milan is caught out in the open. And this could get rolled over in a quick minute here now. Suojeluskunta needs some big bomb drops or so to actually stabilize the north, as Charlie will fall and Hotel and Golf are under threat as well. So this has the potential to become a +6 or +8 even for Greyhound relatively soon if Suojeluskunta doesn't get the line fixed here.
Yeah, Suojeluskunta is holding up Foxtrot with the old-fashioned, but drives out of the smoke and gets taken out. Meanwhile, Greyhound's artillery has been firing so much that they actually stayed still and are not close to the front line. Suojeluskunta is counter-battering on long range with a decent gun, but without any spotters, and on those ranges they cannot reliably do any damage. The Greyhound's artillery also almost running out of ammunition, which is an excellent sign that those units are being used to their maximum. Now Greyhound, despite neither side having a leader up down south on Echo, with a Gepard and all of these vehicles, the any infantry fights for Suojeluskunta need to have a superior group of fire support. And reservists on their own, they can hold ground, but they can't attack without all those vehicles. And not the best anti-tank defenses for Greyhound here, but yeah, with a tow helicopter moving in and a cluster plane already targeting 2 of those M48s, the recon advantage of a Greyhound once again paying off hugely. Bigly.
M48 going down, F16 intercepting the Mirage on the other side. Mirage gets hurt. Gepard will get a good bit more damage on it, and this time around the Mirage not making it back home. Big kill there, and we have the big push in. We have a +4 now for Greyhound, and Suojeluskunta's defensive lines are in shambles, as the M48 blob in the south has to create some more value again. But there are 2 Leo 1 BEs here behind us, and they can just kite. They have 2 steps more range, 2,275 versus 1,925 meter range, and around the spaces in the south you usually will be able to find line of sights where you can hit the M48s without them being able to hit you back, and that should be capable of at least contesting Echo, if not just getting full control back of it. But at the same time, the charge through the north is starting to look pretty rough for Suojeluskunta as well. ATGMs there in good positions for Greyhound, hitting the MX-13, and there's only infantry now coming in there for Suojeluskunta towards Golf and towards Hotel, and over the long run, it will be tough to hold those bases with that. Mirage here, coming around again, second cluster bomber, trying to find some M48s, and they will have to reel themselves eventually here, as infantry could push towards them. Tanks pushing in. 4 Leo 1 BEs here have arrived. Cluster bomber hasn't charged in quite yet. Mirage 2000 RDM gets a hit on target and gets the kill there. A bit of a wasted plane there by Greyhound. That one just being left in the sky and not far enough back that the Gepard actually can protect it. So M48's here engaging against the Leo 1s, but Leo 1's just the superior tank. No good AT launches here on the reservists, only the old LRAC 73. That one only has 500 meter range, terrible accuracy, especially on stressed out units like these, and it seems like Suojeluskunta's front line here now starts to fully collapsed in the south.
Yeah, Greyhound just smoking off the enemy tanks, the M48s being extremely slow, and meanwhile sending in and kind of risking and spending a lot of those units to just keep and secure the rest of the town. But I'm sure Greyhound knows that there are still infantry units and tabs to be found, and I think the recon information that Greyhound is getting, and also the fact that Suojeluskunta is constantly trying to do the old-fashioned corner smoke trick, currently trying to do it on two zones at the same time. This is it really screams of desperation. It's like when you break through an enemy line and the first thing that you see like two helicopters coming at you. You just know that they don't have anything there, and in standard engagements, a mech fusilier with any kind of fire support is going to beat every single unit on the ground here. The Milan vehicles are concentrated for Suojeluskunta into the middle here, but they are not in any kind of position to actually support those tanks now that the tanks are going to move in and try to allow for that corner smoke. The mech fusiliers only have the old-fashioned laws, so they barely do any damage, but they still do full suppression, and against reservist slow tanks, that cohesion damage is going to be pretty significant.
Yeah, we have a couple more reservists coming into the north, well, where there are Leo 1A5 supporting mech fusiliers and an AFV be pushing forward. As a couple more M47 dozers now coming in, so that's likely going to be the last tank card here. Pretty cost-efficient tanks as well, but desperately needed on the front line right now. And the +4/+5 scenario here, really solid for Greyhound. That will get him the lead in a couple of minutes, like 2 to 3 minutes here until he gets the lead. And the second smoke follow-up here for Foxtrot not coming along. No big bombing runs here for Suojeluskunta. No big air spam. His artillery is not creating much, and in the end, it comes down to these fights and a couple of too many reckless charges through the fields of Charlie and Delta, and a really good push into Foxtrot from Greyhound seems to be enough here to dismantle the Division 2 Rhine.
Yeah, M47 dozers still engaging the Leopards and getting a good engagement, but at +6 there is no movement here. There is nothing that actually can maneuver. It's all just about holding still. And Greyhound, I think Greyhound's timings were excellent. Division 2 Rhine was always on a timer, and that timer is getting hard countered. The division that was picked as a counter pick here, the 16th Belgian, basically the units that would not be useful in any other environment, any other matchup, such as the JPK-90s, the Jagdpanzers, those were exactly what was needed in that early game. Those cheap Milan ones that come in Milan 1 transports, the transports that even have a large amounts of ammunition for their 50 cal, all of this was just excellent, just the perfect stuff to have around. And once Greyhound secured under that pretty decent like recon coverage, secured and built those larger engagements, and especially at the time when you have so many recon units around the map, you have a wide front line that is dependent on this kind of slow, low-tech units slugging shots at each other. The artillery became like a constant attrition away from Suojeluskunta's units. And also, the Leopard 1BE, with the name Jean, was microed so well. It was such a massive threat. Like, if that Leopard had been overextended, and if the control of the northernmost forest guarding the zone in the middle of those two towns there, if that would have been lost by Greyhound, I have a feeling Suojeluskunta could have done a way wider attack and not having to move their the AMX-13 mass into that unpleasant, more central location.
Yeah, job well done here by Greyhound, dismantling a Suojeluskunta special, and bringing us to a decider game. In the decider game, we will have 6 Motostrelki versus 157. There was no counter pick here. Game number 3 got picked blind. So this is going to be an interesting one, as that is a really weird matchup for kind of both sides in my book. And we're gonna go on to Black Forest for that as well. So I'm really excited to see how Suojeluskunta brings the reservist spam there. That was before the last patch, so TO55s were a bit weaker, but on the other side, reservists were a lot stronger. So this is going to be interesting. Quick break, guys, and then we're gonna be back with Greyhound versus Suojeluskunta in the decider game. Who makes it into the semifinal? And with that, into Division 1 next season. Is Suojeluskunta returning, or is Greyhound? So let's get into the decider game, everybody. And before we jump in there, though, really quick, Matt Chirino shout out, where you guys can help fund the tournament. You don't even have to pay anything. All you have to do is click the claim code button here on the right side, and at 25 cents, that will be paid out in real life dollaroos to some of the top level players, including potentially the Division 2 winner here that might come out of this. And we already broke through most of the stretch goals, but one last one is remaining, a 24-hour WARNO stream of Brother Soccer. So get around for that, guys. And yeah, click the link in the chat to help us funding the tournament. And if you want to help out further, you can also do that directly. Obviously, also, if you want to help out this channel, leave a like on the YouTube. And if you want to see a bit more of Chloride whenever he's liberated from my constraints, you can see it over on his Twitch channel as well. Link to that in the chat as well. So let's get back into the action here. 2 motorized Soviet divisions that couldn't be more different on the battlefield. Or are they? What do we got here?
Yeah, so Greyhound coming in here with 6th Motostrelkova Brigada, which is the wacky one, the one with the great support units, the one that mixes up, has a little bit of extra in the opener in with the Spetsgruppe A, false flag, special forces, mixes up some DDR, some East German infantry, which is better than the Soviet infantry, but lacks the standard fundamentals. Doesn't have the best tanks. Doesn't have a great and stable infantry tab that you can rely on. So if you're going to be doing early infantry attacks with 6th, you can't do them as easily as you can with a lot of other divisions, but you get, on the other hand, you get units that you can plug the holes in pretty easily. MI2 earns here once again, as seen in Rügener, very practical unit, a lot of firepower for 60 points. Low investment. You can bring out a lot of T-55s early on, much like a kind of weaker low-tech division, but you can still transition into T-64s if you want to have a relatively modern tank force in the later game. And Suojeluskunta is going against this with the most straightforward division, which might the 152nd Motostrelkova Divizia, which is the reserve spam division. Reserve T-55s with some slight upgrades, Reservisti infantry coming in with very cheap BTR 152 infantry transports. For 45 points, you can get a whole 8 guys and an armored machine gun car. That's a pretty good deal, especially if you mix up some military police units and leaders. Those Reservisti and T-55 reserves, they all are being ordered with Veterancy 1, which is a significant upgrade. So if you can get a military police unit there, they're going to be acting like standard vanilla line infantry, which is a huge buff. And basically what I'm thinking from the deployment here is that 157 is going to play slowly. It's going to center a massive force behind Boris and in the middle of Boris and Dmitry, and it's going to try to slowly start a huge grind. And because the weakness of 6th is that they need all of their their aircraft and their helicopters and their artillery to actually perform. They can't send in troops for the grinder in the same way. And the relatively like mild and wide and defensive opener of sixth is going to try to take control over center. And if they can hold center, which is the sawmill position up the hill, that would allow for a slow defensive game, which is what sixth wants in this situation, I believe.
Yeah, we have a T5 AM1 going towards center. I'm a bit... Oh no, it's actually rotating around. Okay, it's coming in north of Boris. Okay, this is a really interesting deployment over here of Suojeluskunta with the 7 tanks from the get-go. They are vulnerable to a specific MiG-21 loadout that you have access to as the 6. The MiG-21 cluster can be pretty devastating. Ooh, and we have the 2 best fighters of Pact in the air here. We have the T-10K versus the MiG-31B here in the sky. The decent ECM here of the T-10K versus the good ECM on the other side on the MiG-31B, but fewer missiles, though really, really long-range ones. If the T-10K can get into range and before the MiG-31 gets too many missiles off against itself, then I think the T-10K can win this fight, and there we go. Oh, it gets hit once. Oh! MiG-31 does win the fight. Big W for Greyhound. T-10K down. MiG-31 on the way out. The missile roulette won by Greyhound, and that's a big, big blow for Suojeluskunta's air defense, which you need against the MiG-21's cluster bombers, so this is really annoying, as you have the Krooks on the ground, but relying on Krooks to hit an incoming MiG-21, that is really gambling on the green. Like, this Me Too urn here going down, and Suojeluskunta pushing in with the Reservisti. T-55s here slowly coming in, but we have a big swarm of L-39 bombers coming in for Greyhound.
Yeah, the Greyhound, the L-39s, you really want to be using them in the early game. They have pretty sizable bomb loads for being so cheap, and they can be brought out in numbers for cheap as well, but they cannot deal with like any anti-air defenses, as you can see here. MiG-23 swatting one out of the sky. The Greyhound's special forces push has worked out pretty well. The Metis took out one of the BTR-40s, which are these AA gun armored car thingies that they get in 157. The Spetsgruppe are now spotting for the light mechanized attack, which is not as light. There are 2 BMP-1s and 3 T-55s, which is a pretty heavy attack for happening under 4 minutes. And with a little bit more of air cover here, I believe Greyhound will be able to fight for this, considering there are no reinforcements coming in for Suojeluskunta. All of those points are being used in the planes. Another T-10K coming in here. This once again going and hunting for that MiG-21, but Greyhound already recognizing this air investment and has already bought the best AA weapon in the game, arguably, the Buk.
Yeah, T-10K here, not even able to shoot on a MiG-21. Suojeluskunta really not with the best of luck there in the air engagements. But the T-55 push here coming around on the south now. Rapira is under attack there, and the investment to Buk, the investment into the bombers, meaning that there has not been a single unit coming towards the south here on the blue side, and the red side has a lot more forces here. So the T-55's gonna get some ground. Rapira's likely gonna get overwhelmed here by the amount of firepower coming around from the other side, and that will potentially enable push deep into the enemy lines here. T-55s need to keep the spacing up, because if you lose a single one against the MiG-21 bomber and then maybe get a kill on it or damage it so that it has a lot of reload time, it's still okay for you. You just don't want to lose 2 or 3 of them in a single time. And yeah, Rapira gets overwhelmed. The other Rapira and Anna has to fall back. Situation here currently somewhat dangerous for Greyhound. Is starting to really dominate the fight in center. The CV of Suojeluskunta there on the run, but likely not gonna make it out as the T-55s there of Greyhound are closing in, and then they can rotate towards Boris, but the Theodore towards Eleanor line currently is open. T-80Bs coming around. The heavier tanks here assembling, but Suojeluskunta are known for throwing so much wacky stuff at them that even those just pop up like pinatas. So we will see how this goes. Mi-8 TV pushing forward. An extra Pira flank here. Could be dangerous for the T-55A OBRs. One of them gets side-shotted. Suojeluskunta not microing yet. Rapira fighting the ATGM right after. Not getting the hit there. As the Mi-8 TV immediately gets hit by an Igla. Igla gets under fire, but hasn't been killed off just yet. Can it get the last rocket out? No, it goes down. T-55s really being beaten back by that Rapira. The Rapira getting much more value than it is supposed to get there. Mi-8 TV trying to clear out as much space as possible, but they have one less T-55, another one heavily damaged. That might allow the T-80BV and the T-64BV to at least stabilize around Elena.
Yeah, the problem is that there is nothing on Anna, and there is nothing coming towards Anna. Well, I mean, a single motor shooter is moving in, and even though the T-80s are gonna be in engagement ranges for with the tanks, Suojeluskunta has already predicted the second wave counterattack with an Su-25 rocket plane here. This rocket plane has more than enough firepower to be a problem for those heavy tanks, and the Buk is out of position to actually protect them. And meanwhile, infantry is not moving into the town of Anna, but also it doesn't have to. There are excellent places for them to just mass up on the long term, and right now Suojeluskunta seems to just want to finish this early. If Suojeluskunta can start killing some of those modern tanks, the T-80s out there in the front line.
MiG-31 gets 2 missiles in a row on target there. That is really unfortunate for Suojeluskunta. D10 also not quite there to catch, and the Fagot with a hit from the side here against the first T-55. The rest caught out in the open, pushing heavily into the T-80B. Get the stun down there, get the slowdown. Just need to keep moving, not slowing down. They're currently shooting and moving. They should just move and shoot on the move. But the T-80B currently allowed to retreat and gets another T-55 here, even though heavily stressed out. Military police unit there being kept around for the cohesion. Su-25 number 2 coming around. L-39s flying into MiG-23s and T-10s. Wow. Okay, that's a lot of missiles there. One L-39 actually might make it out alive, whilst the Su-25 AT is not finding a target right now. The Fagot ATGM here from the side, generating a lot of value, and the T-55s from the north now rotating south. Su-25 AT hasn't found a shot on target against those either. This is the KH-25ML Su-25, so it's not the high-quality ATGM-1, but it gets one of the T-55s now, and might get around for the next one as well. MiG-21 got stopped. Cluster MiG-21 is around. S-25 does fail to get the next hit. Buk might still hit it. MiG-21 gets a bit of damage on it. Buk missile flying out. Does miss. MiG-23 not having any missiles left for the MiG-21s, so bloody fight here, but in the end, we still have T-55s and T-80s here remaining for Greyhound, and the forces of Suojeluskunta seem to be depleted. The deep push here doesn't seem to quite work out, and this might be a setup for a complete rollover now, because yes, usually 157 is pretty good on the defense with the T-55 AM1s, with their Conqueror's missiles, but there is no setup for this here at all, and the air dominance and the somewhat lucky airplay here for Greyhound is really generating a massive lead right now.
Yeah, it's you have every time you're playing with air, you're taking risks. Sixth, as both the MiG-31s and the Buks, means that they can basically throw out very powerful missiles on long ranges, and every once in a while that you're going to lose that. You're going to lose that coin toss, and with more than enough like competent units here to fill the gaps, whether it be the MiG-21s, the cheap fighters that can just kind of hang around and just keep imposing some level of air defense, as well as the T-55s, which are a cheap way to hold ground and do great damage against soft targets or longer ranges. And now with some of these Motoschutzens, which are going to outpower the Reservisti pretty well with their extra machine guns, their veterancy, and their resolute trait, the Greyhound suddenly seems to have stabilized this. It going into Elena, it's always that overextension. You need to put so much into it, and if instead Suojeluskunta had played safely and had pushed into the town of Anna, that would have been a huge risk on its own, because there could have been or could have had been just good infantry units that would have been a horrible problem to deal with. This meant that the alternative for the Elena overextension was to hang around and wait for infantry reinforcements, and that was not fit with the tempo advantage that Suojeluskunta gained.
And the MVP of this, I believe, is this Fagot team down here in the south. That little ATGM here has done a lot of work and really played their ATGM masterfully, like the music instrument that it is named after. And yeah, pushes in now closer, needs a reload, but the D64 is now taking in the charge, and there's really nothing there to stop it. One of the issues of 157 is that it is just not having enough firepower. So to deal with heavy armor, you need planes for doing that. And if you lose air dominance, the situation becomes quite rough. Artillery could still potentially do it, and you have enough armored units to hit them from sides, but you can't push into them. And that's kind of what is needed now, because Greyhound is ahead 200 points. And the other push has become really tough now, as Suojeluskunta is only bringing in HGM teams of his own. So the situation here is not looking great for our player on the right side here. And Greyhound, really, really solid play around center, and well executed defense of Elena after the first line did collapse around Theodore. The reinforcements towards Anna came maybe a bit late, but he didn't get punished for that. So in the end, Suojeluskunta here is in a lot of trouble. And to swing this around, he would need some masterful strikes against the enemy heavy tanks. You don't have endless amount of T64s and T80s, so if a couple of them start falling, then 157 might have a way back in here. They can infantry spam down center and Anna potentially with the reservists and the BTR 152s, but it's not going to be easy to do.
Yeah, there's a single card of T80Bs and single card of T64BVs, I believe, not just T64s, as I recalled falsely. The engagements here are there is Suojeluskunta these are not going to hold. Suojeluskunta has these tanks that can act in tandem, that can move in and outperform enemies in other kinds of engagements, but not when they are acting long range. The enemy is slowly moving up with a bunch of vehicles with Agona missiles. And here we can see the MiG-21s. These are the cluster MiG-21s, the really expensive ones, still powerful. More than enough taking down singular enemy tanks. And it's not going to, no matter how well the coastal artillery is going to start getting kills against infantry squads, no matter even if the airplanes start getting really good hits now against other planes, Greyhound already has the Books and the Tunguskas on the ground to survive even bad luck.
Yeah, good hits here now, and the cluster bomber taking out more forces, aircraft being taken down once more, and this is not looking good for the player in red here. It is really running out of space to disengage here, and there we go. GG is called right at that moment. So GVP Greyhound making game number 3 in a really, really solid fashion. Really quite lucky with the MiG-31B charge into a T10K, but even without that, the situation, I believe, would still have been decently stable, though Suojeluskunta would have found a bit more success with the airstrikes. And yeah, really well executed fallback and defense there. And really showing that 157, when you play around it, like it's a fragile division. So once you start taking away the charge and once you start engaging it at distances that it doesn't like, then you can't beat it. And 6 has become a really stable all flexible all-rounders, so picking it in a blind pick scenario makes sense, and Greyhound here being rewarded for it and moving into the semifinal with this victory.
Yeah, if Sixth had done a more conventional opener in the middle, had sent out a bunch of their special forces into secure, I believe, Bravo, the game could have gone completely differently. But the 157 can only really be played in that manner. You can either do the big tank spam or the big infantry spam, and then you're going to try to rotate between those, and also micro your aircraft and artillery to kind of survive anything that comes. And the more like long range passive cheap defenses didn't allow for the number of upgrades that 157 wanted for all of that tank investment. And it just took the attacks, even though they were successful, they took too long. And when the modern tanks were out there, the aircraft was supposed to carry the weight, and they didn't. And Sixth was a good division to fight this, and Suojeluskunta was an excellent player to play. I'm very happy to see Greyhound proceed here. Protoss, what do you know? What's the difference between a Greyhound and a Whippet?
No.
Well, Greyhound was an armored car against anti-tank purposes, whereas a Whippet was a British light tank for anti-infantry purposes. Of course, you know this, Protoss. What are you talking about?
I know what it... Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, it was a bad joke. Yeah.
So, yeah, that means we are through with this game, but we're not quite through for today, guys, as we have a second series coming along from the other part of the quarterfinal section that will lead into the lower semifinal here of Division 2, and that is going to be Kotch versus GoldenPanzer. And I'm pretty excited for that one as well, so quick break, guys, and then we're gonna be back with Kotch versus GoldenPanzer, game number 2, and see you all in a minute. So here we go. Kotch versus GoldenPanzer. 16th Panzer Division versus 27th Guards. Motostrelki coming in here on airport as pick the bands. 5 really, really classic picks. And then one odd one out for a potential game number 3 on the side of Kotch. Blind pick 152nd Division versus 31st if we go there. But for now, we have to go into Panzer Division 16th of the Belgians versus 27th Guards Motostrelki. And I'm not quite sure when this was played, as this might have been played after the new patch, at which case the Motostrelki has become a god bit better. I'm looking at the date. Yeah, it was played yesterday, it seems. So 27th is scary here, because yeah, as we see from the get-go, Tor now at 4,400 meter range. Their bombers also got a bit buff. Their Motostrelki with RPG 27 has better availability, and the T80 got 5 points cheaper. So 27th, I feel like, is absolutely fully back into the meta. They were a bit clunky and a bit inefficient, especially with the AA situation, but Thor now being really solid anti-aircraft AA, and then the Tunguska and the Strela being great anti-helicopter, means that air defense of that division has become a lot easier, and that means protecting your also a bit cheaper T60 T80 BVs has become easier as well. On the other side, 16th Belgian here, a division that has really done great so far this season and is really the way of the meta currently with its mechanized force and just pretty cost-efficient units all around. Quite efficient forward deployment section that you are finished with after the early game, as you don't have to buy any more of the extra priced units afterwards. And you get a decent autocannon IFV, you get efficient Leo 1s, you get solid artillery, you got solid bombers. Mistrals and Gepards can keep the sky decently clean as well. So it's going to be just interesting to see if 27th will be stretched a bit too thin for airport, a really wide map, or if they can buy the time to really set up and then use the open spaces for their heavier equipment.
Yeah, this is airport being a slow map that has great positions from which to counter breakthroughs and early aggression. Really, I think plays for GoldenPanzer's benefit here. The whether you look at Zulu or Alpha or Echo or even Foxtrot, these are places from which like ATGMs and mechanized counterattacks can build pretty nicely. Zulu does allow for infantry rushing and Echo also, but those zones, the infantry is not going to stay there if 27th is allowed to just scale even a little bit into the 80s and BMP3s. The problem with the Belgian tanks here are going to be the Bastion missiles. The 18 penetration, more than enough to two-shot the Belgian tanks, all the Belgian tanks. You get them with the BMP3s, and they're going to have great range. They're going to have great speed, so they're difficult to micro against. And the standard T80, you gotta get really close against its 19 penetration, 65 accuracy at max range, and 10 rate of fire autoloader gun. You gotta get really close to it with your tanks to actually start penetrating it, which means that the Belgians are gonna want to do like slow gameplay. They're gonna want to put up TOW2 networks as their only way of actually countering the standard tank of 27th. This means that funds that could be spent into doing aggro need to be spent into safeguarding against heavy tanks. And as you said about the planes, Kotch here, twin fighter planes, but these are not the best fighter planes, especially not against other airplanes. GoldenPanzer sending in a MiG-29 and trying to run off, hoping to bait them into the Taurs, possibly successfully here. The 27th air tab is not that powerful, but it does have some teeth. It got some bad HE bombers and good anti-tank weaponry, and so securing air defenses for Kotch is already relevant. If you can maybe fight off against the T80s, but you can't fight against the T80s and the BMP3s if they're also supported by Su-22s.
Yeah, the Taurs here coming in really important and pushing in closer as they allow now opening up with T80BVs again. Before you just couldn't do it. Any dive bomber could just dive on you and kill your T80BV before your A could get a shot on them. But now with the extra Tor range, and they got a good amount of extra range, 600 meter extra range there on those AA missiles, that allows them to hit a cluster strike airplane before it can hit the T80BV, and that allows to open up with T80BVs again. So this is a big problem here for Kotch. Kotch has to find a way here, loses the TOW2 vehicle to the Conqueror's M's as well. Conqueror's M, a great HGM in this matchup as well. The normal Conqueror's doesn't quite one-shot the layer 1s, but the Conqueror's M with the 23 penetration does one-shot all the layer 1s as well. So yeah, dealing with this is not going to be easy for Kotch, and Kotch needs to gain some space. The space targeted seems to be Zulu, so that is an interesting choice. Foxtrot and Bravo obviously should go to Kotch by default on the left side. But yeah, the Zulu push here, it's going to be interesting to see if Kotch can hold on to that for long enough, and if Kotch can maybe get some important kills, because if you get a couple of T80 kills, you don't have endless replacements for them, especially on one wet as 27th. Your tank tap is relatively limited, but for now, no real threat there around for those heavy tanks.
Yeah, it's limited in that you don't get variety. You only get the expensive good stuff, which often leads into this permanent build-up where you never get, where you never actually overpower the opposing build-up of more efficient units such as TOW2s and Milan 2s. And already we can see Kotch is heavily investing into ATGMs. The infantry attack in the Zulu is interesting because there are the ESR GVPs, which have a 1,200 meter sniper rifle, so like an actual sniper, and also running with the Special Forces Sniper Squad, the Sniper ESR. And these are great at taking care of enemy weapons teams and enemy infantry on long ranges, not trying to actually build up a big fight, but to impose like range and fire control for a relatively cheap price. Of course, they can be countered by BTR-80s or any vehicles really, as we see one of those snipers getting taken out. But Kotch, so far investing into long-range defenses, and the +2 here is going to last for some time, maybe even up to 1,000 points, knowing the way that 27th builds its fights. But after reaching 1,000 points, GoldenPanzer is already buying Akatsias. GoldenPanzer is under no pressure whatsoever, so he can get exactly the stuff he wants. Already has secured a little bit of a bridgehead in on the reinforcement road, the blue road towards Echo, which is gained by the BTR-80, and also the red high-rise towers occupied by the Spetsra Svedka right now. These are important tactical victories because they basically give you perfect information about what your enemy is doing, and so you don't have to feel under stress, and you can just, play according to plan, so to speak.
Yeah, Humvee Toes here now engaging the BTRs as Kotch is desperately trying to get the HGM lineup up, but with the BTR-80 even ambushing the AFV there, and the Milan 2 team getting a potential kill there. That BTR-80 really paying a premium currently. It finally goes down, but has bought a lot of space and a lot of time, as Hulu seems to be abandoned as a project of GoldenPanzer. GoldenPanzer fine with just isolating that point. BMP3s will allow him to block the enemy out of Alpha with the long-range ATGMs that we were talking about earlier. The Bastion missile there doing a really good job, as Milan 1 teams here coming around. The Concourse is in a really good spot there, whilst Victory 9 flies on the rear. Akatsiya trying to set up to try to hit the Mech Fusilier Al-83 infantry. But yeah, town is won by Kotch, so GoldenPanzer will need to get to Foxtrot eventually, but it also looks like that should be absolutely achievable with the forces that are setting up to assault the town.
Yeah, should be pointed out that the Akatsiya being bought by GoldenPanzer is a guided artillery piece, which means that as long as there is a recon correction, which is automatically done near any leader or recon units, the artillery fire is going to be hysterically accurate. Like, it's going to be too accurate to be worthwhile sometimes. All of the rounds hitting the exact same room in the same building.
Yeah, the ADBV here getting hit on the way out by the Milan 2. Milan 2 on a pretty defensive spot. RPG 27 trying to move forward. BMP3 moving around as the Taurus here setting up a defensive line. 30mm grenade launchers trying their best to hold the line, but BTR-80s, they really do the job here. Setting up fire onto the Milan 2, which ran out of ammo, getting the kill there. 2 Milan 2s down. Vetzradredka gets killed up in the north, so the Zulu flank is in a good spot. Whilst we see the M109 trying to get the kills onto the Taurus. Katsia gets to clear up the last Milan, and with that, the push towards Foxtrot should be open. There's a far-away Iltis Milan 2. There is a Jagdpanzer 90 still remaining, but the T80BV, it's currently still having to repair, but it could just come back at this moment right now and finish the job. There is a cluster bomber around, but with 2 Taurus, like trading a T80 into a Mirage 5B cluster is worthwhile point-wise, and availability-wise is actually pretty good, so that wouldn't be the end of things. A 3rd Tor here is a nice investment as well, but the BMP3 currently rotates around the side here. Motostrelkis are in trouble, but the situation is still okay here for GoldenPanzer, whilst Kotch is getting the point lead that you really want to get as 16th early on here.
Yep, this is GoldenPanzer's slight incursions here are finding the enemy, and the BMPs are just engaging at their own leisure, which is exactly what you want to be doing. But meanwhile, Kotch catching one BMP, but then also losing the F-16HE cluster, that's a good trade for GoldenPanzer so far. A little bit too risky for GoldenPanzer to maybe position all of those vehicles so close to potential enemy recon. But most of the attacks here are going to be moving southwest with a bunch of BRMs spotting, even the grenade launcher being brought out here to attack any infantry hidden in forests or in the buildings, and with a group of Iglas and Thors working together against dive bombers. This is so the Sim City, the build-up aspect of 27th, that you are when you have all of your pieces on the board, that is when you start buying BMP3s and T80s. Both units are too expensive to just lose, but if your enemy gives you enough time to build up the support structure, it can feel very overpowering. Like even quite unfair sometimes, but that is why divisions like 16th usually want to gain more than even more than just the one zone early on against divisions like 27th. Kotch now losing the tick under 700 points in 10 minutes. This is the future engagements here are not gonna look great against for Kotch. I don't think just so many good units are and so few positions for Kotch to actually engage them.
Yeah, and Akacia here coming around against the Mistral will try to hit something. TADBV moving forward. Mistral gets immediately taken out. Bailout against the Leo 185 BE. Good hit. Great hit. And there we go. TADBV gets the kill. Milan 1 in the north gets a good hit against the BMP2, but that should still be able to get out of there. Opens up fire against the Milan 1 right now, but won't deal much damage, fully stressed out. So Razvedka BMP2 goes down. MiG-27M HE bomber with the new drop pattern, getting way quicker on target, killing off the CV, will stop this tick again. And yeah, those MiG-27s, Su-24s have become a lot better with the latest patch. The new quicker dropping bombs on high altitude bombers really have made them a menace, and a couple of them for sure will have to be looked at and likely balanced at in the upcoming patches. As for example, second Panzer currently is absolutely insane. I played it a bit today as air spam with tornadoes. It was devastating for the enemies, and yeah, we see GoldenPanzer now having control over Foxtrot, but Yakatsia still need to get a bit more room cleared out so that the TADBVs can fully go in. The second TADBV would be helpful, so that's on the way here right now, as then you can shoot down vehicles a bit more efficiently, as TADBV currently moving in. Doesn't have any recon for it, so this is dangerous. Milan 2 gets a good hit. Oh, and the Jagdpanzer gets a side shot! Unknown Jagdpanzer 90 getting a side shot and getting a kill. BMP3 goes down at the same moment. Devastating losses here for GoldenPanzer. Oh, this really slows down the push towards Bravo that you kind of want to get out of this.
Yeah, second tank is already ready there, and with probably way more T80s in GoldenPanzer's division. You can get like 8 or 10, I think, at least, but at Veterans C1. But so far, the battle lines are kind of solidifying in a way that GoldenPanzer doesn't want. GoldenPanzer doesn't want this to be too static. Now we're reaching like 15 minutes, and there are more and more bombers, more and more tanks, more and more redundancy, like your cheap 50 cal weapons themes that can just slow down GoldenPanzer's attacks. There isn't really that much potential for like a great decisive attack until either side gets, or specifically under GoldenPanzer, gets a full-on security in the airspace. Meanwhile, GoldenPanzer is just going to keep on trying to do these kind of slow pushes and engaging these tanks on long ranges, and I think there is more potential. I think the GoldenPanzer could do a wider attack, could attack further from the southeast, where there already is basically no ATGM defenses. Recon infantry unit and a BMP could do a lot of damage, but so far it seems like just let's just keep on doing the Sim City. Another bomber coming out, another BMP-3, another T-80. Rely on the numbers.
Yeah, MiG-27 coming in, and 16 needs to rely on Gepards basically for air defense in this matchup. Bomber doesn't really hit that much, and now flies out. F-16 doesn't want to chase over the Taurus, so can't do much there. And currently we don't have any Gepards on the front line. Finally, one is on the way, but you usually need 2 or 3 to reliably shoot down planes. And we don't see those kind of concentrations here just yet. Leo 185s here, pushing back the Saparis, pushing back a T-80BV, which is down to half hit points again. A second one now, and the third one being bought. So 3 T-80BVs, that will really put too much steel to easily hold up against as Kotch here on the front line. MiG-27 bomber clearing out, or Acacia clearing out the Milan 2s can quickly change the front line then and allow the push in deeper into this. Question is, how long can Kotch hold on to this? Like, you can buy quite a lot of time. Kotch currently seemingly setting up more defenses towards the north, and maybe even try to probe a bit towards Echo from the northwest. So that is not going to be an easy push by any means.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Kotch, obviously having a lot of points here, spending them on massive amounts of Gepards and even like extra defenses on the more passive areas. I'm surprised that Kotch isn't buying like a group of 3 infantry units and just sending them to do house-to-house fighting in Echo to kind of force or have GoldenPanzer move around, reveal some stuff, maybe expose a side armor for something that the numbers of Leopards could fire at. But so far, passivity is coming from the both players, and the passivity is absolutely in division-wise, like favors 27. So GoldenPanzer in the chat said that he was on pain pills while playing this game, and I can kind of see it. Have not abused painkillers myself, and I'm never gonna do that. But neither should you, of course. But they do seem to bring people into a comfortable haze where time stops mattering.
And yeah, BMP3s here moving around, 2 T-80BVs sitting around the flank as well. BMP3 gets a good hit against the BMP3 there, pushing it back. And the Leo 1 gets a +1 actually up here for Kotch again. Kotch being annoying with the smoke on the corner, but also that smoke could kind of backfire, allowing the T-80BVs a slightly lighter, easier way towards you. Conqueror's M here from the BRDM, opening up against the Iltis with the 50 cal, one of the few German 50 cal vehicles, or in this case, Belgian 50 cal vehicles getting shut down there, as the Conquerors could move around on the flank. Acacia aiming up on the Milan 2 will likely find a kill there. Yeah, first round, immediate kill. So the anti-tank position here against a couple of T-80s, not looking all that promising for Kotch. The Leos will need to find side shots, as there are no TOW2s and no Milan 2s directly on the front line, only a couple of Milan 1s here around for now. And outside of that, normal standard tank guns, but only in 90 or 105mm caliber, and that's not going to easily stop the 17 frontal armor of the T-80BVs, which are now pushing forward. Having a line of sight here on the Leo 1B, gets out of there and back into the last remaining smoke, and the Conqueror's unit on the side gets shut down as well. T-80BV here, not with the greatest recon. So yeah, lack of recon here has been annoying for the T-80BVs a couple of times already. The first loss basically coming down to that as well, and these two here not really seeing much either. So this is a bit of a problem. Whilst Kotch trying to get the northwestern push in, MiG-27 gets the CV killed off. MiG-29's diving really deep here, hunting down the Mirage. Not getting on target though, and flying over all the Gepards. F-16 at least goes down. Fusilier got killed by the bombs. Other MiG-29. Oh no, miss micro. The F-16 can fire all its 6 missiles towards it and will be rewarded with a double MiG-29 kill. The CV on both sides dying in the zone here. And that means the +1 stays up for now. The T-80BVs, at least, they can retreat, but they are heavily damaged and in need of repair. And they really need to get eyes off, for example, the BRM-1K that is coming around. The BMP-2 with Modred Redka really important here as well. Well, yeah, the push from the northwest at least stopped for now. Counter push there. Maybe there is a way towards Papa with this as well. But for now, GoldenPanzer a bit stuck and time ticking in Kotch's favor.
Yeah, this is there are now that with the command tank and the 3 other T-80s as well as the smattering of BMPs all around the map here, and now even more like extra recon units getting in the board. This is the time for action now. GoldenPanzer should start exploiting the units on the board already. 20 minutes in, approaching like 1,000 points lost. This is so many good kills, so many good trades could have been had already with more aggressive gameplay, and now it's time to collect that opportunity cost, the lost opportunity cost of not playing more aggressively.
Yeah, counter battery here against the M109 from GoldenPanzer now with the Acacia, but the infantry all has fallen again. The T-80BVs not really getting as many shots out as they would want to because of the lack of recon that has been around before. And T-80BV here
the Milan
missing against the Milan.
Both of them missed it. Yeah, sorry.
And as the BMP-3 here finally gets some ATGMs towards the Jagdpanzers at ranges where they can't retaliate. 2 more Jagdpanzers coming around. Milan 1 goes down to artillery fire. The BMP-2 finishes off the Milan 2 unit. The ADBV still stressed out but undamaged and will recover all of this over time. T-80BVK leader with a pretty reckless charge here. No infantry units in front of it. But the one big weakness of the Belgians is that their infantry AT weapons are absolutely abysmal. So as long as they don't get side or rear shots, you are in a pretty okay spot. BMP-3 at the same time goes down to the Milan 2. T-80BV versus the Milan 1 team here. BRM-1 has to be somewhat careful as well. The T-80BVK will take control over the point, will stop the tick, but more than this is needed. And that's just the good part about the Belgians. You can't just constantly reinforce it. Ooh, Cluster Mirage getting through. Gets the kill. The Tor will get the retaliation, but against the CV one, this is absolutely worth the Mirage. MiG-27 coming around with the HE bombers on the other side. There are 3 guy parts this time around, so it's likely gonna die. Yes, it is going to die here as those get the kill, and it didn't get much value this time around. Leo 1s have been killed off. T-80BVs have started to generate a good amount of value. 4 of them on the battlefield, 5th one coming in, and BMP-3s coming around here as well. So the heavy mechanized forces of the Soviet powerhouse here, the Soviet high-tech division, is moving on, but it hasn't quite achieved the take yet, and it's now on a real timer. 18 minutes is not that much time here. 9 points is something that on this map you can achieve decently quickly, but you still need to break the enemy for that, and Kotch is far from broken right now.
Yeah, an earlier battle or series of battles that would have forced Kotch to keep buying like the standard ATGM and tank combos could have maybe pulled away and created a weaker Kotch frontline. But the more passive gameplay has now allowed for Kotch to have a lot of redundancy. Like there is 3 mortars here to provide the smoke cover. There are extra recon, extra tank, extra ATGMs watching the sidelines, causing damage to GoldenPanzer, trying to do that flank attack. More aggressive gameplay, less sitting around with better up BMP-3s could have maybe like prevented this from happening. But Kotch has been allowed to get into the late game, not losing like strategic positions, and also not being under too much pressure that it couldn't effectively keep on growing.
Yeah, Acacias firing towards the rear here, trying to get the 81mm mortars killed off, but failing to do so. Taurus here moving around. We have some F-16s diving deep here, trying to intercept enemy bombers at the spawn. That is an interesting move as well. What's the Taurus here? Trying to get at least the recon out of the sky, but artillery here, the M109s annoying the TADBVs while they get resupplied. +2 situation here, great for Kotch, as GoldenPanzer is about to break everything northwest of Echo. Papa line might actually open up here for a late game push. We have seen that a couple of times on this map, that a late game push like that could work out. Strelas here should see the F-16 over the spawn, is actually on an attack command, has issues getting on target, but this should at least enable Kotch to GoldenPanzer to know what's going on here. Gepards get shut down on the south.
2 Gepards.
AFVs have little that they can do, but they get the kill on the BRM. So at least recon situation here once more a bit dicey, but another bot Retrietka at least on the way, another BRM on the way as well. So the recon should go up in a second. Motos, Strelki, Komorati can move forward here as well, and the TADBVs now really start to generate the big value that they are here for. We have 2 more Mercip and cluster bombers coming around from the side. Core situation is okay. 3 of them are around. Only 2 of them in range. 1 of them is missing. They get 1 plane, but 1 TADBV goes down for it as well. So in the end, an okay trade here for both sides. More BMP3, more TADBVs coming in. I'm a bit surprised we don't see more BMP2s behind the TADBVs, but for now, this is okay. Just that the 14-minute timer here now means that GoldenPanzer kind of needs a bit more than Bravo, maybe even at this point. So the setup towards the push towards Papa should come up into his mind, and he really needs to finish off the remaining forces that threaten Foxtrot for good now. So the push here has to go on for a bit, as Kotch's frontline starts to lose cohesion.
Yeah, I mean, Kotch is doing a very a very good job in taking advantage of the ground that he has, but and especially having the Milans around the place and having them supplied and having some sort of forces to prevent the Spetsnaz, Svedka, and Motostrelki of just walking into them. And now the D-80s, having their great cannons and good rate of fire, are doing great job every time that they spot something. The Motostrelki here and the Motorasvedka in the center are really they are the weapons that which the unit attacks. D-80s are taking some risks, at least in some cases here, but at least they are surrounded by infantry, which is the way that you're supposed to take risks with heavy tanks. And it's only 13 minutes. This is a lot of points. And there are many like extra cheap artillery supported, more smoked up units that and every time every time GoldenPanzer attacks, there is a risk of something striking a side armor or getting a stun lock or even forcing a bailout, as rare as that is. And even though this might now look a little bit like effortless, the positions and clearing up these positions is going to take time. And
where the TADBV gets hit by the Milan 2 and the TO2 A109 there. At the same time, though, there has been really little reinforcements towards Papa, and the TADBV and some infantry, or 2 TADBVs and some infantry, are starting to move there. And the kill feed lately has been full on blue. Strela here killing off the Alouette, and the recon infantry here pushing up, the Motostrelki pushing up as well. And there have been no Leo 1s coming in as reinforcements in a while, because there likely are none left here. There have been a couple of 50 cals and some artillery pieces being bought, but they don't hold ground for you. So these T-80s here, yeah, clearing out the last Leo 1. They are doing a good job. There is still a Milan 2 unit here, but it is not getting any good shots out either. Milan 2 in the building in the south, getting overwhelmed as well. So Bravo should be cleared out soon. That just won't quite be enough anymore at this point, though, with 1,150 points versus 12 minutes of income. So with only 80 points per minute, that's not quite good enough. The cluster bombers here and the Mercips coming around. Thor's getting as many shots out as possible here, trying to get the hits that they need, and they start to really kill off all the planes. But it took one more T80BV with it, and every T80BV right now would be amazing towards Papa. First, BTR-80 has entered Papa. Another couple of CV units should be bought here. Yeah, BTR-80 CV has been bought, should immediately move towards Papa. And GoldenPanzer hopefully will start realizing that Bravo is not enough, and that a move towards Papa or Zulu is needed, and it should be doable at this point, as Blue has lost all cohesion. Okay, a couple more Leo 1s coming in, but the cohesiveness of Blue side is down, and without any air forces left to kill off the advancing TADBVs, the rest of the forces here likely won't be able to hold out for much longer either.
Yeah, this is we are seeing 50 cows and leopard 1s coming in from Kotch. I'm afraid that the ATGM ATGMs might have already been used up, and with like no infantry reinforcements even coming into Papa. Papa is a very defensible location if you have just a small smattering of close range defense working together with the long range defenses put on the sides. This is none of this exists here, and GoldenPanzer's BTR has already revealed it, so it's only a matter of time before something starts happening. GoldenPanzer finally bringing out an helicopter even. Helicopter in this situation is very powerful, considering Kotch has been losing planes and spending the Gepards in to gain the air supremacy.
Yeah, the ADBV is here clearing out the whole south now, so getting the Humvee CV back in there, that is lurking for a little sneak move there from Kotch in the far south, is pretty unlikely. And the TADBVs are really close to Papa now. The Spencer Fredka can't quite keep up right now, but the BTR-80 is still ahead. We have two more Leo 1 coming towards that point, one of them being a CV, but no more ATGMs. The A109 is nice. There is an Eagler team though pushing with this. MP3 fighting against Jagdpanzer does go down. BRM here might be in trouble as well. And the BTR-80 CV is now moving on into the deep zone, into Papa. Force moving around as well. We have the BRM 1K going down. BMP3's here. Moving towards the Papa zone now too. Just rotating around, and we still have 9 minutes remaining, so there is time. With the +6, you will catch up really quickly here. It's just that the +2 currently is not enough, but even that is decently close, so if a couple more points are generated here by capturing Papa, or maybe even getting it to Zulu, because yes, Zulu currently has a decent amount of blue forces, but none of them are great. And we still have planes and helicopters left here, and there's only one VADS in there. F-16's there doing a good job. Ooh, getting the kill there. ADBV in the north gets done down at Papa. Second one trying desperately to get engaged. Oh, it got lost in engine, and the TOW2 gets the side shot. Oh, the Papa push is falling into disarray. Meet 24 moving around here, getting some cleanup, but only stopping the reinforcement of the and resupplying of the Jagdpanzer and the Milan 2 unit. And the last remaining TADBV there with destroyed engine and heavily stressed out is in trouble. BTR-80 BK trying to get in. TADBV aiming up. Does go down. BTR gets bombed. CV down. New CV needed. Mi-24V moving around. MiG-23 flying to intercept, but there is a Mistral and the VADS that it always flies over on the way in there. And those actually gaining extra damage here. Mistral still has 3 missiles, so wouldn't even run out anytime soon. The Leopard 1BEs get hit hard by the Mi-24. The Akatsier trying its best to get some damage in here as well. And smoking off next BTR. Oh no! The next BTR is taking the wrong... No, GoldenPanzer! Ooh, the pathing. The pathing is terrible. Running right next to these are GVP and the Fusiliers. And that would mean that the next TV would be the TADBVK that just got bought. Okay, BTR-80 now switching movement. Okay, that got realized, and it's now taking the right path. And there's nothing directly intercepting in. The ESR GVP there is still dangerous. And artillery still tries to find a path for the Humvee CV to come back into Bravo. Might be able to achieve that. Mi-24 VAT dove a bit too deep. F-16 finally came around dealing with it, but there is a BMP3 here now as well, so the BTR 80BK on the way in here, on the way to a +4, potentially +6, and that +6 would give you 240 points per minute. So 240 points per minute times 6, that's still a bit above 1,200 points here, or a good bit about that, and we only need 900 more, so +6 here, totally fine for GoldenPanzer, but yeah, needs to keep this up here. Even a +1 here would +4 would be fine, but yeah, needs to defend this BTR now and needs to keep the Leopard 1 out of the zone as well. 4 is a really good addition on the defense here, especially against the A109, but the BMP3s actually start to siege down the north a bit as well, stopping the Milan 1 from being reinforced and resupplied. There is still a Humvee tow there with 8 missiles though, so an easy push isn't possible yet into Zulu, but more and more reinforcements coming in, and KDBV moving up as well. +6, quickly taking up here. Nearly gets you to 2,000 points even here, right at the end of the game, if it stays at this. And we're closing it into the point where even a +2 would be good enough again, at which point Papa doesn't have to hold on. So just a couple more minutes, like 2 minutes or so, of the +6 would be good enough for GoldenPanzer here.
Yeah, it's like one of the forces that Kotch can actually use to attack. There are support units like artillery pieces and some like ATGMs and JPKs that have been
Oh, the
trying
Mirage
to.
misused. This was the unit to get the kill here.
Oh,
If that Mirage would have found the BTR-80, there would have been a decent chance of getting the zone back here and not allowing GoldenPanzer a chance to fully get back in. But first, Mirage HE goes down. Alouette Recon goes down as well. Tor doing its best here to really keep the sky clean. There is a Mercip still that could maybe find it, but all the Recon here going down. Tor gets another missile onto an F-16 here. But we have M109s trying to at least get a smoke out. Tor goes down and trying to at least reduce it to a +4. Currently a +5 as the CV snuck in into the south here. So the Humvee there buying a bit more time as well. CV gets in, reducing it to a +3, 120 points per minute. Even that at this point would be good enough, and Bravo will be fully brought back under GoldenPanzer's control here. The IL needs the +4 here for a while. Has a TADBVK coming up. Might want to move another one towards the north. Clear up in Bravo. Now gets him back to the +4. And only 200 points remaining here between the two. And that's only less than 2 minutes of tick here at this point for GoldenPanzer. So as long as the BTR 80 BK doesn't die right now, he will do good enough, even if it falls back down to a +2. The BVK leader here helping out with that as well. Good smoke against the A109. BTR 80 BK not being spotted just yet. As we're really getting close here now to the +2 being good enough. I believe we have reached that now. Yeah, we have reached that now by now. So,
ooh. The
TAD
F-16
goes down.
managing to fight the F-16 shooting down that MiG-23, leaving the Augusta helicopter, the TOW-2 helicopter, basically running around here for free or uncontested. GoldenPanzer already has spent a helicopter gunship trying to get close enough to one of those things and kill it, and is probably going to try to do that again now. But another F-16 still coming in and diving that gunship. So kills are being achieved, and there still were enough Leopards to get a big mass to fight single T-80s. Couldn't fight two T-80s on long range, but can fight one or two of them in close ranges. And
Yeah.
meanwhile, GoldenPanzer is building up for a second infantry attack now with the neglected front line at Zulu.
Yeah, what Kotch would need right now is not just clearing out Papa, would need to get into Alpha as well, as he's now fallen behind in points to get a take back online. But that is not going to happen. Just not quite enough forces and not quite enough time with 2.5 minutes here. So GoldenPanzer is about to do it, has the point lead here, picks up. BRDM2 conquers, goes down. BTR 80k with the deep push here achieved the victory, and it took a while longer, but Yeah, 27th is a really, really scary division again. And I believe we will see it a lot on pick and ban lists with the current patches. And yeah, layer 1 is getting shut down by Spencer Tvetka here, even as Kotch is desperately trying to get back onto a tick, but more than 120 points behind by now. And the tick even continues. There we see the GG. And GoldenPanzer does do it here in the end. Really grindy game, both sides taking a lot of casualties, but the right approach to the map, not really contesting Zulu after the early charge of Kotch into the point, and then slow and mature and controlled push back there. Couple of miss micro positions where the T80s weren't quite supported enough, and Kotch came in nicely there, killing off a couple, but just couldn't quite hold out long enough and couldn't get the attack planes through the towers on target either.
Yeah, that could have more effectively be done by GoldenPanzer by recognizing basically the timing attack, recognizing the moment when there was enough stuff and enough potential to like to fight those JPKs and those Milans, without all of that like massive amounts of extra build-up behind there. And GoldenPanzer did miss those timings, but also the strategy worked. And playing passively is generally a reliable choice if you're going to be playing 27th. Didn't even have as much artillery as I was expecting for a 27th game on airport, but in the end, GoldenPanzer manages to find to recognize the reality of the situation, so to speak.
Yeah, job well done here by GoldenPanzer, getting up a 1-0 lead. So we're gonna see if Kotch can bring it back. Second matchup is going to be 9th Panzer versus 5th Panzer, so East versus West Germany on the river on the Danube River, or the Isar and the Danube River there on the map of Isura. Really good map for those divisions, so I'm pretty excited for this as well. Quick break, guys, and then we're gonna be back with the second match. So see you all in a second. So here we go. Kotch versus GoldenPanzer. Kotch on the left side here, bringing around the 9th Panzer Division. The heaviest of the GDR, but it's still fighting against an even heavier division, as the West Germans bringing around their heaviest boys, the Leo 2 A4Cs here, from the get-go for GoldenPanzer. 2 of them on the battlefield with 2 Roland 3s behind them. This is a really dangerous fight with play with fire here, but it could pay off well if you get those Leo 2s into good spots. And Izura is not the widest of maps, so you don't need to cover a massive frontline. It still is a bit dangerous when the enemy comes around with anti-tank planes and so on. And we have 3 T-72s on the other side. But Leo 2A4s do pretty well against those. So this should be quite interesting. Izura, a map that I enjoy quite a bit. It's basically kind of what Two Lakes should be in my eyes. It's a pretty narrow map, and it is instantly fighting over some towns from the get-go, but it has a bit more room, it has a bit more interaction, you have more movement in this whole section of the town, and I really like that. It's not a spectacular map, it's not a super special map, but it's a fun one for me.
Yeah, and here we can see the 5th Panzer being the West German juggernaut versus 9th Panzer being the East German juggernaut. And this people often play this this map here as an infantry assault map for very obvious reasons. You got a lot of central building locations. Actually winning those infantry fights lets you get a lot of different positions that can cover enemy reinforcement roads from long ranges. If you can do that, you can force the enemy to unload their reinforcements early, and thus functionally gaining you more ground. And GoldenPanzer, I'm just going to check who countered who. Yeah, 9th is the counter here. 9th is the counter to the 5th here. 5th, I get GoldenPanzer playing 5th here instead of other armored divisions. Fernspare are great at taking early positions. And if you're going to micro a few really good tanks in these short range areas, you want to be microing the Leopard 2A4C. The problem is that unlike the last game where GoldenPanzer had such a technological superiority, he could play passive until the very end of the game and still end up victorious. Right here, the scaling advantage kind of works for Kotch. Kotch's division has more heavy stuff, has a lot of infantry that arguably is better price per value. The ATGMs given in Kotch's BMP1s are way better relatively than what the Martyrs get. So even these larger frontline buildups can work against GoldenPanzer. GoldenPanzer has to basically take advantage and find the timing attack of Leopard 2A3s. Leopard 2A3s in general are some of the best tanks to mass up earlier than others. They're faster, they have great guns, and they are just a little bit cheaper than a lot of their other contemporaries. But especially here, like the T-72 forces need to be countered quickly and decisively, because if GoldenPanzer's early tank investment here doesn't pay off, Ninth can just fortify and fortify and fortify till the cows come home.
Yeah, and like I believe the tank game you can play quite a long time with the Leo 2A4s and the Leo 2A3s. One of the issues is going to be the artillery part, where on this map the napalm plus rocket launcher of Ninth can be devastating in the late game. So you kind of want to put the enemy under enough pressure that they can't quite afford it. Me2Urans here immediately generating some value, killing off an Alouette, killing off in Milan 2, and starting to hit some Jaegers here as well. MiG-23 goes down in return though, so the Roland 3s here doing their job. Likely gonna find the Me2Uran there as well. Yes, there we go. So in the end, both sides paying the early game tax there for overextending a bit. One side with the air, one side with the ground. So fine trades there for both sides. And the Leo 2A4s here actually rotating further south. I find this a bit peculiar. I expected them to actually try to push with the Fernspars and really concentrate on the northern flank, maybe even creating a line towards Anna, but they seemingly want to go into the infight, and that is not a great space for them. One of the main reasons the Leo 2A4s are great against T-72s, they have the better penetration, they have the better armor, that is all nice, but one of the big things is their speed and their range. And here they can't really play out either. Like, the speed is not that important in bush-to-bush fights, and the range is too short here to really get the advantage. So Layer 2A4 here, actually just sitting in a bush now. I'm not the biggest fan of that. Both sides currently not having taken control of all their zones just yet. But GoldenPanzer pushing forward with infantry to try to get control. Though 30mm grenade launcher and 50 cal Uwatzes here pushing GoldenPanzer back, so the Panzergrenadier Führer not gonna get into Dimitri. Second Panzergrenadier Führer coming around. Leo 2A4 there, playing a bit of a risky game. And yeah, the triple T-72 there, those can overwhelm a single Leo 2A4. So this position here, not optimal for GoldenPanzer in my book with those two tanks.
Yeah, the important is that GoldenPanzer has recon information, whereas Kotch doesn't. That is probably why Kotch is using those tanks, placing them so passively. I kind of like the idea of trying to early engage, and even though these angles are not the best, there were potential for some max range engagement just a minute ago, and now Kotch is kind of just luring in the Gepards in with some cheap offerings of Aufklärers and MG3, the grenade machine guns. The Alouette really in the background here is crucial for the functioning of those Leopard 2s, and I think is GoldenPanzer's too scared to send it any closer, and this is kind of has frozen movement for now. GoldenPanzer already investing into a Feldhaubitze, getting some Marder Milans as well as another Leopard to act to have impose fire control in the northern angle, but meanwhile Kotch is also getting out some good slow units, T-72S as well as Storm. both mostly relevant for their very long-range missile launchers, and but also T-72S is been taken at 0 veterancy. You don't get as many of those with 9 Panzer as you do with some other divisions, specifically the first Tankovi of the Czechoslovakians. And but the fact that the tank engagements have not happened yet and the blob is already growing, it's not it doesn't work for GoldenPanzer's advantage. Let's just say.
Yeah, the Leo 2 being so passive here, the only units that they shut down so far being a Razvedka squad is really, or a Aufklärer squad there, is not that great. 30mm grenade launchers here in a good defensive position in the center. The Marder is starting to grind through it. And Unimog here about to go down to the BMP-1. Marder pushed back, Panzer Commander under fire, and yeah, Leo 2A force will now start to get into the position where whenever they move, something is going to shoot at them, and that is going to be annoying. You can overwhelm decent forces if you start to get a Leo plop around as well, and it can move faster than the T-72, so you can reposition it quite nicely as well. But the enemy has the ATGM advantage, as you pointed out. The BMP-1s coming with Conquerors, BMP-2s coming with Conquerors, but all your IFVs only bring Milan 1s, and the T-72S and Storm having the longer range over your Milan 1s and your Milan 2s, so situation has to be improved by 120mm cannons. The L-44 has to do the job here, and it's currently not really working on that. Like, the amount of shots fired so far come down to a full total of 7 tank rounds being shot at the enemy in anger, and that is not where you want to be 7 minutes into the game.
Yeah, it's a napalm rocket launcher already up here, already targeting the Leopard 2A3. Leopard 2A3 gets microed away and is fast moving.
Oh, but showing side armor! Oh no! He's going down immediately to that side shot of the Conquerors, and yeah, this is not what you want to do with those. You want to, like, this is also why you don't want to spread out as of Leo 2 divisions. Your side armor is so terrible that you always have to fear about your units when you don't micro them. That's why you always want to micro Leo 2s, and that's why you kind of want to create a plop with them, because they're great at being microed and being plopped, because they can move around so quickly, they can shoot things, and you can move them and maneuver them nicely with every click. But if you don't click them and they show side armor, they also implode within split seconds, and then you have a big 230-point pile of rubbish that lies around on the battlefield. And that is really why you want to play it a good bit different than the division on the other side here. The T-72S division is fine with just playing a slow game around the front and having ATGM units everywhere that create a turtle, and then you would create a big pile of T-72s, create a napalm salvo somewhere that forces the enemy to move away, and then you take a position, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and eventually you get a tick.
Yes, to use a term borrowed from horrible art criticism, the T-72 massing spam tactic insists upon itself. When you have so many T-72s, you basically force your enemy to stack up units in a way that it works really well as targets for the napalm artillery. So you just really want to be dealing with it early on. You don't want to let them get all these the juggernaut pieces on board, so to speak, because so you can see this the siege of the Dmitry position here. It's basically like 3 big blobs of infantry and soft units hugging each other. It's a horrible situation. Like, the Leos need to be getting some results on board, and they're firing shots at long range right now, but T-72's still functioning pretty well.
And napalm comes around right on top of the Leo 2A4Cs. They have to get it moving. One of them moves forward, one of them moves backward, so that means they're split. The Conqueror's at least helping out, killing one enemy unit there. Leo 2A4, ooh, can it make it out? Oh, it's so close. Oh no, I think one of them is going down to the napalm. That's what I was talking about. The napalm, if it gets enabled so early, and if you don't push it harder, then every single forest can become a death trap quite quickly. And well executed kill there by Kotch. Losing a T-72 MEV for it is fine, and there goes the second Leo to a 4C. Yeah, this was just a disaster in the making. It took a while for Kotch to finally find the angle, but if you buy 2 Leo 2A4Cs and then you don't start generating value with them, and then you don't start killing enemy units, the enemy can use their higher number of units to create these kind of situations by just moving around, poking, and yeah, right, getting the napalm, forcing you out of position, killing you that way. And now GoldenPanzer basically has to set up for one more big Leo 2 ball without collapsing until then, and then has to do it, make it work against a well-defended T-72 division, because he is not going to win the artillery war, and he's not going to win the HGM war, so he can only kind of win the tank war, and that tank war has been set back by a lot now.
Yeah, this is the grenade machine guns in the front line are perform so well in just slowing down infantry attacks and stunning down stuff like the seeker rooms that are supposed to kind of hold the front line for the Leos. Maybe if the alternative reality here, maybe if instead of this more passive hunting strategy of GoldenPanzer, he just done a forward deployment recon rush, send in the first pair, send in some Jaeger Aufklärer, attack Dimitri, and try to force the attack early on. The infantry fight would have been maybe suboptimal, but with some bombers and moving the Leos, basically forcing the enemy to put the T-72s into action right there, sacrifice some of your cheaper infantry to gain yourself that tank fight. That could have happened, but instead, after recon spotted the very juicy targets of the 3 T-72 moves, the Kotch correctly recognized the situation and just went into cover, and then GoldenPanzer since then that didn't really get a similar situation like this, and now the ATGM wall exists. There are now 3 T-72SS working together with that Sturm, working together behind some recon, behind Dimitri again. If you're going to be doing that,
we have
tank,
a BO-105
tank fire support, not
going
work.
in for a hunting mission here in the rear line. Firing an ATGM against a T-72 that might actually hit rear armor. Oh, it runs out of range just barely. Mi-24P actually finds it now and will shoot it down. I guess the real target was the napalm rocket launcher, but it won't find that, and the Mi-24P now starts to try to aim with a 30mm. The P has the really hard to aim 30mm that isn't on a turret, so the BO-105 actually can be a bit annoying to hit for it, but there is an Eagle around, so even if you push it over the front line, then the BO-105 still would go down. Okay, the BO-105 sees its victim, is trying to go for it. Oops, rotating around. Can the BO-105 get the shot? MiG-23 coming around, realizing that the M70 is the target, and yeah, there goes the BO-105. Counterfire here won't be on target either, as Kotch also realizing that that would be a danger here, so is moving away. We have 3 Leo 2A3s coming around on the north, and we have a Leo 2A4C in the center. The triple Leo 2A3 with recon could do some job here, but immediately gets fired upon by storms. The bench bears with GSR should be able to spot that. Marder now fires back, but there are so many T-72s here now, and they're all firing, and the Leo 2s running into a concave here if they go through that angle. So yeah, maybe pushing for the north could be doing the job, but it's going to be tough here at this point because there's just so much ATGM potential here. So you kind of need to smoke and then move closer, but your Leo 2s kind of want to use their max range guns as well. So finding angles once the front line has been solidified like this on Izura, always tough. And GoldenPanzer really has to poke hard for it to find any here.
Yeah, the counter battery is happening right now from the napalm artillery, despite the Feldhaubitze not really getting any hits on. Obviously, Kotch sees that this is a potential for a free kill, and the more if the Feldhaubitze gets taken out now, that's going to be like mean extra ATGMs, extra recon units out there for the end fight. And Koch is still behind a technical number of points, so there needs to be a big attack at some point. But GoldenPanzer realizes the situation and realizes that he needs to be starting to get some kills. And now armed with four Leo 2 A3s with a leader in the mix there, with some pretty decent spotting capacity, with the first pair being right there. And the T-72s, they are at zero, but if they start getting under fire, even if they don't get penetrated, they are going to, like, in practice, their capacities are going to go down pretty quickly. But it's just that Kotch has designed this engagement so well that this is it's not easy to actually approach this. And Kotch has the more aggressive tanks that T-72 moves up vetted in the southern engagement here. So if GoldenPanzer overextends or loses a bunch of units, if the T-72s get pushed back or routed, there is a secondary force that can start applying counter pressure. And spotting this secondary force, now GoldenPanzer actually moving 3 of the 4 tanks into the southwestern flank.
Yeah, T-72S here moving around as the Jaguar desperately tries to get some shots on target. Jaguar 2 really capable units, but there come the 5 Leo 2A3s engaging the MEV, engaging the T-72M1. Oh, Napalm hitting the Jaguar, but the DMs might get slowed down enough here for the Leos to find some kills, getting the stun. That should be the kill, as it can't smoke off when it is stunned. Panzergrenadier Führer gets killed off trying to move towards Dimitri, but the tanks for the Leo, oh no, they're showing side armor, overextending here a bit. One of them has been taken out, Leo 2A4C there, burns down. And the Napalm takes away the retreat. Oh no, GoldenPanzer!
No!
Realizes it last second, but it's too late. The last Napalm launching directly on top of it. The recon position here not good enough anymore. Yeah, the concaves that Kotch forces GoldenPanzer into, because GoldenPanzer doesn't want to play the right flanking game here, is really strong. The Tornado Cluster here coming along, but not getting a drop anymore. And that's 3 Leo 2s down for 2 T-72s, I believe, that got killed on the other side. And that's obviously a terrible trade here, and also means no Leo 2 A4Cs anymore. The Leo 2 A3 is not that much better than the T-72 once they are both in gun range. Like, the Leo 2 A4C is a significantly better tank. With the 18 frontal armor, the T-72s deal nearly no damage per hit on max range, and the 21 pen also deals a good bit more damage than the 20 pen of the normal Leo 2 A3. It has better accuracy and so on as well. And now that high-level weapon has been removed, and that makes the whole situation here once more a lot tougher. And with the trade situation being what it is, it's going to be really tough to get some kills here for GoldenPanzer. GoldenPanzer having Leo 2A3 versus T-72S. The Venge Bears actually could engage now with their lore, is doing that now. Help out. Leopard 2A3 gets stunned down, but T-72S gets stunned down here as well. Leo can't quite find the hit, and there are too many ATGMs behind us to really push in. I really believe a push north early on and more aggressive play with the Leos, and then now with the bigger Leo bolts, flank attacks where you are the one that is on the flank and the enemy can't just create a concave around you, and you don't have to push into an enemy concave, were the way to go. But it's going to be tough to hold on now, as the T-72S is here pushing towards Feodor. There are 2 more Leo 2A3s arriving into the center here, but the T-72 number is big. The Napalm launcher is still around. Needs to reload, but GoldenPanzer's situation here is looking really, really dicey.
Yeah, I mean, it's this is Kotch really has approached this in a very deliberate manner. and has barely made any mistakes. Like even there are like little things here, such as the fact that the 73 millimeter gun of the BMP-1, if it hits the side armor of a Leopard 2, it destroys half of its damage. So just these little extra issues, uh, uh, extra targets to be fired at by always a lesser number of Leopard 2s is every engagement that GoldenPanzer gets into, it feels like fighting uphill, and this is only because of Kotch's really like decent and well planned out opener. Kotch was given the chance to go fight the difficult fight early on. Kotch had the 3 stack of tanks, had them upvetted, and just chose to not do it. Chose to play it safely, and with GoldenPanzer lacking the killer instinct this game, the more passive gameplay allowed for first the building of these horrible ATGM walls, which have attritioned away certain number of tanks, and second of all, it allowed for the early adoption of the napalm artillery, which kind of puts
Ooh.
GoldenPanzer
Yeah,
into a
GoldenPanzer
situation where always
finally
be moving.
found the flank here though. T-72S and Storm already taken out. This is the flank kind of moves that you need with the Leo 2A3s here. Like, this map is really narrow, and you don't have a lot of room in the middle, but a couple of T-72s here now being taken out. The Leos don't push deeper. They actually could have pushed deeper if the Fan Bears would have moved with them. This is a bit of a missed opportunity, worrying a bit too much about what the enemy could have behind there. Everything here off Kotch was in the south. Acacia, a T-72S, and a couple of other units there for the taking, but GoldenPanzer playing it safe here once more, bringing around the cluster bomber in the middle. That, if it finds a good drop, could still do a lot of damage. Doesn't find a good drop though. Flies over all the enemy air defense. Really risky life there. MiG-23 gets pushed back, gets one more missile out, but gets shut down without getting the kill. Tornado will be out for a while though, and oh, the SU-22AT gets one hit. Roland not finishing it off. Well, it's Leo 283 leader got killed off there by it. Leo 283 leader in the center coming in there again, but it is outnumbered. T-72S engaging the infantry around it. The Mi-24P ATGMs hitting quite nicely there. The ATGMs coming around. Pioneer Flamethrower not great there in their push with the Transport Panzer Fuchs, and Kotch gets into the forest that really usually spells doom for the right side. If the red team gets into this forest or the blue team gets into this forest, the other side is in deep trouble, and the Pioneer Flamethrowers there getting into it, that is a really tough time. 1T-72S gets shut down here once more. The Leo 2's doing a decent job. Napalm launcher has finally been reloaded, yo. So Kotch will get that around here in a second again, and all the Leo 2's in the center currently are in need of repair. The one in the north is still in a decent spot. Benchbear still could allow it to find a bit more value there. And I would like to see GoldenPanzer trying, because he needs to generate a bit more value here. Couple of good kills here lately, but it needs a bit more, and it needs better positioning on this map here as well. And we had that yesterday in a 2v2 game as well, where in a 1v1 in Division 4 game as well on this map, where the right side was just too passive. There it was CLKA playing similar playstyle here of GoldenPanzer, trying to get a mobile force out and then just stopping it and not pushing any kills and leaving the enemy with the artillery advantage. And it went similar to what we see here right now. SU-22 gets the kill into the Leo 2 in the north, because the AA isn't up in numbers anymore, because Kotch has won too many trades, and the combined arms here and the position of GoldenPanzer is falling apart, and it's kind of all about an all or nothing push at this point, because you won't be able to hold this position here for much longer, and you need to get out of the +2 for the enemy. Tornado cluster here diving really deep. Will find the T-72S there, and that maybe might be what you want to do now. Rotating the Leo 2s up there, trying to force the enemy T-72s to rotate and trying to catch them whilst they're doing that. But this is currently not being forced by GoldenPanzer. Still static warfare, and allowing the 9th to reinforce here is the absolutely wrong thing to do.
Yeah, this is infantry reinforcements coming in here, the Pioneer Carl-Gustavs, and they'll be able to fight off the infantry on the zone, but the wide concave of vehicles supporting the zone, no. Right now there needs to be some world-class Leopard 2 action and some pretty bad engagements taken by Kotch to win these, to lose these incoming fights. Now the Leopard Commander gets in here, the RPG-27s with the 21 penetration and 500-meter range, just chewing through that Leopard 2A3 leader immediately. And now the second wave of finally Pioneers blocking those RPG-27s for this moment. Rest of the infantry moving in from the southeast and trying to catch and cover that reinforcement road, so no units can drive into the smoke again.
Yeah, this is the totally wrong part of the map to engage. Like, as this the division on the right side as 5th Panzer, you either want to push out of Helena into Dimitri from the north, or I believe you want to push towards center from Sheraton and Feodor. And the fight in these building blocks around Dimitri and Feodor are just devastating. The field in front of Feodor just allows so many angles to be shot at as well, and where you don't have any secure flank. And we have GoldenPanzer now trying to desperately with a move around the northern flank, but it has way too little force behind it. One Iltis, some martyrs behind it, and there comes the napalm, and it's devastating. It's burning everything down. The infantry has fully taken control over the forest, and I believe we're gonna see a game number 3 here.
Yeah, I mean, this is so far, I mean, the F4F does manage to shoot down an Su-22, but with these numbers on the board and the fact that this map doesn't really allow for like immediate turnarounds, with especially if one player has a solid control over that middle area with all those buildings, just such a huge task of dislodging people out of there. And the way that 5th Panzer could have done this matchup would have been to constantly nibble around the edges, like aggressive recon play with a group of tanks that just go in, do some damage, and get out using their superior acceleration, and not allowing the enemy to play the SimCity game for the first 10 minutes, because 9th Panzer really thrives in that environment, where right now we're seeing those Sturm missiles just firing at extreme ranges, and not even a problem. Storms are horrible in actual fights. They don't have great stealth. They don't have anything to stop infantry. They don't have enough penetration to actually go 1v1 against the tank. That's why they have to fire at such long ranges. But they are a perfect support unit in a moment such as this, and where you have these T-72s just slugging at Leopard 2s, and the Sturms can apply free damage, and feels horrible being the victim of it, but you are relieved from victimhood by playing aggressively and trading up from the start.
Yeah, and the Leo 2s here desperately trying to move in, getting a couple of good trades against T-72s here, as they are really good vehicles. But there comes the S-22, gets the CV tank, and gets a really good job down there. And with that, there might be no CV tanks here left on the side of GoldenPanzer, as a good couple of those have been shoot through, and there's still enough stuff remaining to buy for 9th. Like, this is the good part about these Warsaw Pact minor nation tank divisions. They always have more to bring to the front line in the late game, and in the end, Kotch here with a deserved victory in game number 2, meaning that we have a decider game here. GoldenPanzer this time around not able to leverage their heavy tanks in the right manner, and that means the final game will be a really exciting one, as we have 4 system map with GoldenPanzer picking 31st Tankovi, heavy T-72 deck once more, and a bit of a slower division against a division that is kind of the polar opposite of it. 152nd Infantry. Not a forward deploy division, but a really light infantry division with good air tap, with a lot of infantry and a lot of ATGMs, but no real tanks to speak of. AMX-13s being their heaviest armored vehicle, and that obviously isn't doing all that well in 1989. And so this should be a really interesting one. Absolutely looking forward to it. And yeah, I'm ready for it. So here we go, everybody. Kotch versus GoldenPanzer. Game number 3. As we have a really, really cool matchup here on Black Forest. But before we jump in, one more shout out to the Metrino page, guys, because you guys have been a bit slacking lately. There have been no contributions today yet, and there are for sure a good couple of viewers out there, because we have 80 viewers right now, and only 40 of you can have pressed the claim code button so far. So, guys, click the link, click the free money, give it to the WARNO community, and help out funding these tournaments. All it takes is clicking the link, click the claim code button to add money, and big thank you once more to everybody, especially who contributed directly, like Not a Mallard, who not just contributed 250 there, but also clicked the claim code button lately. So extra proud there of the Mallard. Praying Wolf here coming in with $100. Beat me today when I tried to test out 76 VDB as well. So GGVP then once more. Praying Wolf, you absolute bully you. No, 76 is still terrible, guys. And yeah, he played it really well, taking me apart with the 31st that we see here on the right side. But let's see if GoldenPanzer can make the division work against a really light division here on the left side. What is the 152nd doing here?
Yeah, like what the hell here? Like Kotch, come on. I mean, Kotch here is this is a optimized Black Forest gameplay, I believe. So Black Forest has always been a slower map, but with relatively small amounts of points that can be won, especially by early pushing. But it does have a lot of space to do backline action with the EBR and AML 90s. It does, with the reinforcement road, having to go through a bunch of forests and lines, having the helicopter deployed, decent infantry to hold front lines is also good. But most importantly, there is a lot of ATGMs, a lot of Milans, a lot of Milan ones especially. And with that number working together, fast attack by the French gun cars, basically, as well as the immediate starting buildup of large front lines of ATGMs. 31st is a relatively standard T-72 divisions, one of the more powerful ones. It fixes a lot of the problems with standard Soviet divisions by having the Czechoslovakians bringing good infantry and good support weaponry, such as the AA cars. So it can do infantry attacks, unlike something like 79th. And so on paper, the 31st really is the stronger division, and Kotch right now has the right to play, not just because of these helicopter recon marine troops, not just because of the the specialized older generation reserve ATGM cars, the World War II Willys Jeeps running Milan ones. It's it is GoldenPanzer's game to lose, and Kotch's game to prove that 152nd can actually go toe to toe on a slow map against one of the most competent and standard, powerful, regular, versatile tank divisions in the game.
And we have a double Crusader here coming around. Those are pretty good fighters nowadays. They have 2 long-range fire and forget missiles for 80 points. So the cost efficiency on these things actually quite nice. 10% ECM, 8 hit points. And they fully down to me too here with gun runs, allowing real elite to deploy without being spotted and forcing GoldenPanzer to play blind around Charlie, not quite knowing how much investment there actually is going to go in there from Kotch, which is a really nice thing for Kotch here now. And the Crusaders also enabling the Super Pumas to unload their transports without having to be worried about enemy fighters. So the Masserine Eclairs coming around into the south and getting into a good spot there. Else we get the Star cars moving around. We get a couple of Modred Redcar BMP1s moving forward. And the big tank plop here is the big question mark. How effective can they be used against the pointed out ATGM wave that Kotch can bring around here? A lot of Milan 1s here coming around. And the EBR 90s are beautiful. But let's see what they can do. Like, beautiful in their hideousness. Those two weak, pure metal wheels in the middle, just giving extra ground crossing capabilities. Look, so stupid, but it's actually a pretty decent gun on this thing. And the 4 frontal armor means that not everything just one-shots them either.
Yeah, now GoldenPanzer seems to be getting exactly the kind of an engagement it wants. Long ranges, T-72s can fire their missiles. These are T-72B variants, upgraded ones, really powerful ones with great long-range missiles. T-55 AM1s don't have missiles and don't have upgraded armor, but they do have great accuracy and long ranges. So far, kind of a hard counter on paper, at least. The EBRs can't deal with even the lighter tanks. The OT-64Cs are too cheap to be auto-targeted here, so they can just put their machine guns to work against the Marshwin Eclaireurs. There are still some special forces to Commander Delaire, and acting as a relative frontline. But yeah, so GoldenPanzer is attacking here. GoldenPanzer's tanks just moving behind the Motora Svetka who are in cover. GoldenPanzer's bringing out a second tank, another BRM, and even more recon. And for this moment, the Crusaders are just going to leave after running out of fuel. So maybe in a few moments when the Strelchi start getting into Bravo, there could be some air cover coming in. So far, Kotch has +4, has a momentary +4, and +4 means a lot, especially on this map. But GoldenPanzer hasn't lost any critical units.
Yeah, and is moving in with the Streltsies into good spots where the T-55s then can finish off the rest. A good amount of the ATGM vehicles on the other side have either been shut down or ran out of ammo by now. There are no supply vehicles coming in just yet. TRM 2000 is on the way in the rear. Better ATGM vehicles on the way. The Mephistos moving forward, so that is going to be interesting. But yeah, GoldenPanzer really wants to get control over Bravo somewhat soon here. Is investing into T-72Bs here. I'm not sure if that's the best investment at this point. I feel like a bit more infantry and a couple of own HGM teams just to counteract on the long range, like a couple of ATGM vehicles would be helpful. Though the T-72B, obviously with severe, like the normal B variant, not the B1, is actually doing obviously a great job there as well. Having the better range, having the faster speed on the missile, and everything on the other side can be one-shotted by the 21 penetration there. Baby Mephisto immediately going down here as it comes in. So that all goes okay for GoldenPanzer in the trades. Just needs a point here in the upcoming 2-3 minutes. Otherwise, the point lead of Kotch will be really annoying.
Yeah, is the Milan carriers here already running out of weaponry after just a few seconds of exchanging fire with the enemy? They're not difficult to resupply, but the supply is not in the front line here. And this is speaking to the inherent weaknesses in doing like ATGM car openers. If those first 4 missiles are not going to provide results, you're getting out-tempoed pretty quickly and going to have to start giving away some ground. EBRs, surprisingly, still, at least one of them, surprisingly still alive, but not for long
and the
here.
Superintendent come in, and one of the coops has fallen. The Yester cast did overextend as well, so they get the T-72Bs and they get out alive right after, as there's no fighters in the sky. So this is a big issue here, and yeah, GoldenPanzer has spread out a bit too much for my liking. Like, it sounds a bit weird because it's all concentrated in front of Bravo, but he moved too many forces towards Foxtrot. I think he should have forced himself into Bravo and then pushed Foxtrot out of Bravo, but instead he tried to get 30mm around towards Foxtrot. He tried to get Yestercast towards Foxtrot, and there the EPRs could engage them without being retaliated upon by the T-72s immediately. The coup did get caught out there on the way as well, and with those important units being caught out, then the T-72 now falls because the units here of the French can take the picking, and the French can reinforce on a wide front line easily and forever, because they, like, the one thing that the French will never run out is units, and ATGM units especially. They might not be good, and they might not be able of dealing 1v1 fights, but this is starting to look really, really potent here for Kotch, as GoldenPanzer has to be careful to not just get taken down here 7 minutes long and just lose the game to a 2,000-point victory here. So not getting a foothold into Bravo is a big, big issue.
Yeah, I mean, as we can see with the T-72B1 trying to move towards Foxtrot and getting a kill, but also getting front shot by Milan too, now being forced to sit back. If it had participated in the big attack that's going in the Bravo, that probably could have helped this attack. The Super Attendard don't have enough penetration to front shot a full health T-72B1 or B, which is of course nice, but these gun runs and these attacks are going to keep on coming.
Currently, the coup gets
is out of ammunition.
Super Attendard shooting at it. Another coup coming around, finally gets a kill there, and that is all
performing.
Yeah, it's all great in the long run, but the situation is still the question of the +4 going on, and if GoldenPanzer can roll this all off over and finally stop the tick. And even if he gets into Bravo, it's not going to stop the tick, so you want to get into Bravo as soon as possible so that you have more time getting towards Foxtrot, getting double the time basically moving into Foxtrot. And Akatsia is aiming right now, but the situation at Bravo hasn't been cleared up yet. GoldenPanzer still going for the trades here, basically getting another Super Attendard, so he is winning the efficiency fights right now, as this one once more didn't get anything, but Bravo is still not captured. The Akatsias aiming for the Milan launchers here, and will do a bit of damage there. Trier, the lead sniper units have gone down, so the Streltsy should be able to move in there now. And I realize there is a BMP-1 leader here. Ooh, MiG-23 gets shut down by the Crusaders. Crusader number 1 goes down to the coop. One coop out of ammo. Second one gets one more shot out, but does miss with it. So in the end, a good trade there for Kotch for once. But the more important part really here for Kotch is that they keep up the tick, and really the 2,000-point victory starts to become an option here now, as they have gotten over the halfway mark. And even if it isn't, the point lead is going to be annoying to get back for GoldenPanzer.
Yeah, it's GoldenPanzer's chance of, like you said, GoldenPanzer's chance of concentrating and getting themselves inside Bravo, to which they could basically keep on sending infantry in relatively safely. All these positions that Kotch is currently fighting and threatening these forces, they are only a problem because GoldenPanzer is not inside that zone already. Now, the Milan vehicles are not doing the best. They're getting shot at long range, and not right now, and not in the greatest angles. But this is but finally there is like a big concentrated attack further west, and not trying to needlessly spread out against more efficient long range counters. And right now, time really is starts to tick here, and I think GoldenPanzer just needs to go through Bravo and try to get into Alpha. You can even do a little bit of a risk, even just maybe drive something. You have the OT-64s.
Yeah, the
After
BMP 1K3 CV is on the front line, but GoldenPanzer doesn't seem to see it. He's waiting for the T-72, and that's really
what?
valuable seconds here.
Oh no!
As that one is
Painkiller.
still a good bit out, and yeah, CV vehicle in the south gets shut down as well. The Foxtrot point basically only protected by Mephistos. Issue for the T-55 AM1s is they have great range. They have the max range guns. They're not good at getting over the open field here, though. Milan unit goes down, and BMP-1 finally starts moving here. 3 minutes 20 remaining, so you need to get one more point after that. And you only will have around 4 minutes once the CV here arrives into the point. No CV on the side of Kotch here remaining in the zone. No CV around the southern zone either. And there's only one AML-90 as the only unit that can hit infantry in the south right now, actually. So the Modraj Vetka, maybe with a helicopter, could just push through there. The BMP-1 finally moves into the zone. Oh, there is an AML-90 shooting at it, getting it. It at least buys a couple more seconds here, but the next CV unit needs to... No, the T-72 is not moving. Why is it not moving? Oh, no. The MP1KR needs to move forward as well. Okay, they start moving now.
Oh no.
But it's taking the long road around, which actually it's, I think, a way slower path. As the other BMP1 could also start moving towards Foxtrot. The 3 minute 18 timer here is really real, like, and it will only get him 1 or 2 more minutes here extra once he gets control over the zone. So Foxtrot needs to be charged. Kotch is basically dead in the water here. Kotch has nearly no board presence whatsoever, nearly no holding power. He has a couple of ambushing ATGMs that will try to buy the time. And if he doesn't buy the time, if the GoldenPanzer starts to stop the tick, I think GoldenPanzer has this locked down. He just needs to stop the tick though, and it's still 4 minute timer here. BMP2 engaging, getting on top of the Milan 2. Artillery hitting the Milan in the south. As there is the T-72 BK leader number 3 behind us. And Motostrelk is here pushing forward. Masserine Eclairs are dangerous with the Apilas. But yeah, the VABs around them all dying. The Motostrelkis get the hits on targets. The Motostrelkis will clear out that Special Forces infantry. As the command layer goes down in the north as well. Only a couple of Milan 2s here to chew through.
Marsuin Apilas are allowed to deploy here. No, I feel like Kotch probably is gonna get this now. The Marsuin Milan 2 deployments there to just take care of those, just push those BMP2s a little bit further back and not risk the tanks. And now the tanks are going in. Okay, so now GoldenPanzer does see that something needs to be done immediately. But the Marsuin Apilas 10-man squads with Apilas are already in there, and they have a leader supporting them. No, the B1 gets stunned down, and it's so close to getting tagged by the Apilas. This is like...
Yeah, pushing towards the south can happen now as well. T-55s are not great, but the T-72s, they have smoke. BMRM is around as well. Modraj can support this. The T-72Bs have better ATGMs than the Mephistos on the other side. So with the BRM spotting for them, their push towards the south can happen. But the CV gets back in. MiG-27 HE bomber coming around for the reservist leader. Needs to get the hit on target. It's not going for the CV though. Oh no, this is the wrong target right now. You just need to clean out the CV. You need to buy every second. It's not hitting. And the units in the south now start moving, but they are still moving slow. They need to just roll through. It's 1 minute 15 remaining here, and the reservist leader is still alive. Acacia aiming for it, but the T-72B in the south is not just attack moving. You have 1 minute 3 seconds. GoldenPanzer, please get the units moving. T-55AM1 gets shut down, and this is not a big disaster. The CV kill on the reservist leader might happen through the Acacia, might happen through the Strela. And buy a bit more time. The BK is now running for it. The Mephisto is getting him at ATGM towards it, not doing any stress damage. The reservist leader is still alive. Everything gunning for the reservist leader in the town. BK could maybe even try to go for Alpha, but no, that's too late as well. The cluster bomber coming around. Oh, it should rotate for the BK in the south. It is rotating for the BK in the south, and the BK is getting some hits now as well. It gets shut down. but there is still another ATGM hitting. It hasn't smoked yet. It could still smoke. It's desperately trying to get in. It won't. Oh, wait, why is there +3? Okay, oh no, because the zone was still contested. Okay, and there goes the CV. It didn't smoke off. It didn't use its smoke there. And the CV on the other side will get the +2 back, and with that will win the game. The center zone is getting captured, but that doesn't play a role here. The forces behind it are there, but it was all a bit too slow, and Kotch with 152nd getting the final victory here. GoldenPanzer ahead in points, but just not playing it quickly enough and just leaving Kotch with the take for a bit too long. Maybe getting lulled in by, oh yeah, Black Force never goes to 2,000 points, and then realizing too late, shit, the enemy is really close here. And GGVP here, Kotch with a really clutch victory, moving on to the semifinal, moving on to Division 1 with that, and will have to face Greyhound in the semifinals.
Yeah, I mean, those were some really great showings from Kotch. Of course, GoldenPanzer was acquaintance of ours and in the chat, so we maybe kind of the protagonist in at least my eyes for these games. And in all of these games, we could really see the ear infection and the painkillers work their magic here. Like the balance of attacks, the balancing out when to attack specifically, when to commit and when to not, that was a constant problem with GoldenPanzer in all of these matches. And Kotch, even when Kotch wasn't playing perfectly, as I would say that those last game deployments weren't necessarily the tip top that they could have been. Even then, Kotch always like realized where the enemy was making a mistake and was really good at exploiting it. Even in like fighting from an objective back foot, which I would say the 16th DE game against 27th was. Even in fighting against the enemy that opened up with the twin Leopard 2A4Cs, all of these situations, Kotch was basically like making the correct decisions, was relying on a lot on just game knowledge, didn't always have the best recon. Repeatedly, I would go and I would check recon in all these games, and GoldenPanzer had the better one, but the decision making was just not up there with it. And as we have seen a lot of GoldenPanzer games before, GoldenPanzer, of course, has gotten this far. And if this is what a little bit of medication can do to a WARNO game, can you imagine every Fortune 500 company like constantly doing ketamine? Anyways, that's a different discussion.
So yeah, job well done here by Kotch getting into the semifinal. And with that, we have the first half here done. We will cover the other 2 quarterfinals of Division 2 in the upcoming days. Semifinal for Division 1's coming up in the next couple of days as well. Maybe the first one tomorrow. So we still have to get the full-on confirmation there between Stardeck and Mix 90, and the other one next Saturday between Startbreaker and Scoof. So those gonna be great as well. A really great top 4 there as well. And we're gonna figure out if MDZ can beat Tata Boy and if TYS can best Pasta La Vista here to make it into the semifinal, or if it will be the other way around in the upcoming days as well. As we had really good quarterfinals here in Division 2 so far. Division 4 were a bit one-sided. Division 1 had a wild bunch of them as well, with some really clutch ones too. And I'm really excited to see Division 3 as well, as we're gonna come around for that in the upcoming days too. So don't you worry, guys. The playoffs all gonna be covered. And with that said, thanks for watching here for tonight. We're gonna leave you at this point. And yeah, see you all around. Thanks for being around. I don't believe there's any channel on WARNO right now, so we're gonna send you over to some Nebulous tournament. Ooh, haven't seen a Nebulous tournament ever since I have run them, so that is interesting. There is a Nebulous Fleet Command tournament going on, so that should be pretty hot, everybody. See you all over there, and have a great one.
Yes, and be nice this